I want to make sure that I acknowledge the sponsor of the show, Tiege Hanley, because Tiege Hanley sent me this new pack. They sent me the new Tiege pack, so I just literally pulled the paper out, got it out of the mail, and I started going through it, and I got a little bit more excited than I should. You know what I'm saying? So they did send me the Tiege pack, and I don't even know what this is yet. So I'm assuming this is what you get when you first order your Tiege, and I don't know what this is. Oh, this is dope. This is absolutely dope. Is this a nail kit? Ladies, get this for the fellas. Fellas, don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. This is free. This just comes with it. 30% off your first order, plus 20% off for life. Literally. Oh, snaps. I didn't know that they were sending it like this. Real talk. So this is the nail kit that they sending you. All right. So now you ain't looking like a dusty. This is a free gift straight from Tiege for the people that ordered the Tiege. They got the small one for the little hands like mine's. They got the big joints for your toenails. And then they got the joints at the bottom too. You know what I'm saying? For y'all that's a little bit more crustier than usual. All right, so that's one of the free gifts that Tiege got inside of the pack. And then, what is this? Says squeeze a quarter size amount of Tiege Hanley body wash on the center of the wet bristles. Lather, scrub, rinse, and repeat for the perfectly satisfying wash every time. So that's inside of there also, right? Ooh, I can get my rubber ducky on right here. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Tiege for sending me that uncomplicated skincare for men. And then what we got in here? We got the actual Tiege pack, right? So this is the normal Tiege pack, but then they gave me the supersized joint for the people. They wanted me to show the people exactly what they got when they ordered that first Tiege pack, when you're getting your 30% off your first order, and then you get your free gifts. You get 2 free gifts, and then the 20% off for life. So the 20% off for life is a new thing. And dang, I ain't even got my keys on me to open this up. Maybe I can use the little nail clipper thing. I ain't got to buy no nail clipper for my new joint downtown. And then you get all of the washes, all of the scrubs, all of the AM, the PMs, and all of that stuff. So you got the whole thing inside of there for you to make sure you take care of yourself. But you got to make sure you take care of it every day. Right? We don't want to miss days. We don't want to be looking like dusties. It does not absolve you from being able to make sure that you brush your teeth. Brush your teeth. It don't fix the teeth problem. Don't fix you ironing your clothes. Don't fix you being able to take care of your business. But it absolutely makes sure that your skin is phenomenal, even when you go in between shaves. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Tiege Hanley. We absolutely appreciate you. Thank you for continuing to hold us down. I might do an official Tiege commercial, but I like just talking authentically to the people. I like giving the people the authentic look of what it is that you're dealing with, and I want you to hear from me personally, because anybody can do that little pitch and they can make some little videos, but very few of us can actually speak to the products of exactly what it is that you're supposed to use. So yeah, Tiege Hanley, 30% off your first order, and then 20% off for life. That's the Anton Daniels pack, 20% off for life. Using any other Tiege pack, make sure that you go ahead and let that go. And make sure you tap into the link that's in the description and take care of it, all right? What's going on? It's Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. I am your host, Anton Daniels. I welcome you here. I invite you here. And I want you to know that not only am I going to be entertaining for you, I am going to keep you distracted from the things that you got going on at your job so that you can get through your day more effectively with information that actually benefits you. Welcome to everybody that is here. I love you. I appreciate you. This is the greatest morning show on earth. I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to keep it G. I'm going to be opinionated. I might joke a little bit depending on if I see something in the background that don't make sense to me. If you decide that you want to jump off a bridge and record some crazy stuff, if the cameraman from a lot of these videos that we look at decide that they want to show off and be bad, then I'm going to definitely react to it. But I will get to the core of what it is that we're here for and I will make sure that you guys get the information. And more importantly, I will make sure that you're distracted. All right. So distracted in a good way. So welcome. Today is Monday, August 26, 2024, year of our Lord. We are here. And so because we are here, we have another opportunity to do great things. And so I'm expecting great things from you guys because I expect great things for myself. Shout out to all of the bag chasers. Let me give a round of applause for bag chasers. The chasers, we did Stock Club this weekend, and it was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. I had an opportunity because it wasn't right after a show, and I pushed it out to the weekend. I had an opportunity to kind of break down on a micro level and a macro level all of the different concepts of how you're supposed to look at an investment and how you're supposed to be looking at how you are investing in a company instead of just looking at it as a stock market. We're not looking at it as a gamble. We're not looking at it as a timing thing. We're looking at it as a long-term investment, and I'm trying to help people and teach people to understand it conceptually, understand exactly what you're investing in. And so it's a very, very powerful live stream. And I have re-uploaded it for the people that decide that they want to tap into it. So if you are a bag chaser or you decide to become a bag chaser, and I like to do a recap, and so, I want to make sure that everybody is along. I encourage you to start at the first Stock Club video. But if you decide not to, you should be able to follow along, and it should inspire you to actually start at the first Stock Club video. So that is up. That is absolutely up. That is 100%. James Shoemaker, I have multiple different channels with multiple different people. So join along. No, it never drop. I never drop. I just go up and forward, up and forward. And so also, moderators, we love people that disagree with us. We love people that have a different. Why is my camera? It's like it's blurry on me a little bit more, but then I'm going to adjust that after the show. Anyways, moderators have a long leash. We want to make sure that everybody, even if you have a difference of opinion, you are more than willing to, more than okay to disagree with me as long as you're not being disrespectful. We welcome different of opinions, and we think that chat lives matter, so I love that. Big Suggs, I'm going to read that shortly. Anything else? Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Tiege Hanley. Tiege is continuing to rock out with us, and they said, Anton, we got your back, so make sure you get that Tiege Hanley. 40% off your first order, 20% off of life. I don't know how much longer they're going to do that. I don't know how much longer they're going to give that to me. 40% off your first order, 20% off of life. Make sure y'all rock out with Tiege Hanley. That's absolutely awesome. And I'm happy to be back home. I did the show I took a quick flight on Thursday to go and pick up something. I still got my Omega on. I took a quick flight on Thursday to go and pick up a nice little thing. Some people is familiar, some people not so much. And you said you live in a debt-free life, Scooby? I like that. And then I did the show on Friday from Miami, flew back that afternoon, did after hours at night, and we don't miss. So work ethic is absolutely paramount here on the Millionaire Morning Show. And we got a phenomenal show that's lined up for y'all today. So one of the things that we're going to talk about is Chris Cuomo. Chris Cuomo was at the Democratic National Convention, and he basically broke down how big money donors are really the ones that's controlling Democrats and their campaign, even though they try to villainize the Republican people for actually being a part of the big money club. So we're going to break that down. What else do we got going on for today? We got that. We got the Florida housing market, JD Vance, RFK Jr., undecided voters are deciding that they want to go with Kamala Harris, according to CNN. Grant Cardone is breaking down the whole housing market and capital gains taxes. So it's a chock full of information about money. Money. It's all money today. It's about the bag. It's about the politics. But again, we always like to figure out how it comes back down to the money. So phenomenal show in addition to quick hits. So buckle up, get distracted. Make sure you got your headphones on. For the people that's over there in the office, for the daycares, it's okay for y'all to have the speakers on blast. I promise you I'm not going to cuss. For my truck drivers, shout out to my truck drivers, to everybody in the chat. For the people that's working at home, for the people that got me on in their earphones, that's the nurses that's driving the Nissan Altimas. I love y'all. We rocking out on Monday night tonight on the Q Show, so that should be absolutely awesome. And again, I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. And let's get rocking. I want to acknowledge my first super chat of the day. Yeah, it is. It seemed like time is speeding up, A. Wyatt. First super chat of the day. Big Sug says, Anton, thank you for continued value you bring to the bag chasers. Stock Club is off the chain, ready for the real estate as well. Yeah, we adding another segment to the stock to the bag chaser. So shout out to my chasers. Shout out to Big Suggs. I appreciate you. I also want to give an acknowledgement to my dog ESDC. Let me show y'all these people. They crazy too. I want to give a shout out to ESDC. Shout out to ESDC on Cash App. My dog, Mike That Dude, is in the building. I appreciate you, Mike That Dude. Thank you, my friend. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Hold on, Big Suggs. Let me get you up off of there real quick. Oh my God, Anton. Send me some money. Told y'all I'm going to start showing this type of stuff. Request for $260 for a TikTok shop creator rewards account, tick accounts. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and decline that. Decline. Block. Cool. All right. So, anyways, I have never mistakenly sent somebody some money on Cash App. So, for all of y'all that keep trying to finesse in that way, it's not going to work. Anyways, y'all ready to get started with the show? Quick hits, anybody? All right, let's get to it. We got a lot to cover today. Quick hits is a segment of the show that we don't necessarily think that we have to, hold on. We don't necessarily think that we need to highlight every single segment itself, but we definitely want to keep y'all informed on what's going on out in these streets, man. First things first. No, that's not what we want to talk about. Yeah, we do want to talk about. First things first, a Chicago police officer beat another police officer. Check it out.
To some breaking news this Sunday night. Disturbing claims coming out of Chicago's 7th District. One officer now accused of beating another. Sources tell CBS News Chicago the two were involved in a romantic relationship. Our Andrew Ramos is live outside the 7th District with this shocking assault and how everything happened as we know it, at least right now. Andrew, good evening.
Hey, good evening, Chris. Now, we were told that Chicago police officer identified as 30-year-old Francisco Galvan waited in this parking lot right outside the 7th Police District for about an hour for his girlfriend, who is another officer and was on duty at the time when he attacked her, leading up to 7 officers to intervene to restrain him. The incident happened late Thursday evening. According to a police report filed in the case and obtained by CBS News Chicago, the victim, who we are not identifying, was sitting in her patrol car when Galvan opened her door and pulled her out, pinned her to the pavement and attacked her. Other officers who witnessed the assault intervened and restrained him. They would later smell alcohol emanating from Galvan, the police report said. Several empty cans of alcohol also found in his pickup truck that the off-duty officer drove to the 7th District himself. Galvan was later taken into questioning where he appeared to be intoxicated, falling into a deep sleep where he later vomited on himself, the police report said. The victim in the case acknowledged that the two were in a relationship and she did not wish to pursue charges. It still remains unclear what led Galvan to attack her.
You know why.
Now, Officer Galvan was charged with domestic battery as well as driving under the influence. He was also cited with transporting and carrying an open container of alcohol. He's back in court on September 13th. Reporting live from outside the 7th Police District, Andrew Ramos.
And he's back on the job. Give me a round of applause for that. And he's back on the job. He pissed off. He jealous. It's a lot going on. She might be married. She might be in a relationship. She might have spun him. Look, the key here is these are the people that are policing you inside of Chicago. That's number one. B, never, ever, under any circumstance, ever take a dump where you make your money at. You never, ever do that. Listen, under no circumstance do you ever mix business with pleasure. You keep it 100% G. You never mix business with pleasure. You do not get into relationships. I know that y'all think that it's cute. Oh, but my grandfather did it. My great-grandfather met his... Look. Do not mix business with pleasure. Stop talking to people on the job. I know y'all that's listening to me in the warehouse, you probably got you a little work wife, got your little work husband inside of the call center. You know what I'm saying? Your relationship had never been any better when you working from home, but now you back on the job and now you feeling some type of way. You getting all extra dressed up. You putting on that new bra, that push-up bra. You know what I'm saying? Thinking about getting things done to your body. Look, never, ever, 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 ever under any circumstances get yourself in a relationship that's going to mess up your money. And one of the ways that you got to do that is prevent yourself from doing it on the job. Some of y'all little supervisors, you got a supervisor position. Now you want to bust down all of the women on the job. I know what y'all got going. Plant life is crazy too. Shout out to the people that's working on the line. Now you over there fighting him over somebody else's wife. Y'all fighting. Two guys fighting. She married over a chick that's on the line because she busting it down for a real one. Man, look, y'all out here mixing business with pleasure. Y'all messy. Y'all messy out here in these streets. Do not ever, ever mess up the money. Mess up the money by getting, and some of y'all that's in corporate America, exerting your power. Now you got a little position. You got a little opportunity to tell people what to do. Hey, no. Keep on giving the cute one a good shift. Keep on giving her all of the good assignments, the easy assignments. She keep get her out of there. Get her out of there. Get her out of there. You're going to find yourself bind it up like Nate. All right? I'm trying to tell you, don't put yourself in a position. You have to be fair across the board. And it is never going to work out for you in any way, shape, or form. It's never going to work out for you when you mixing business with pleasure on a job. Stay out of the mix. All right. In other news, ladies and gentlemen, a deadly shooting at a Vallejo. I learned about Vallejo from, I think, E40 and the rappers. Another deadly shooting at a Vallejo sideshow with a ring of fire around it.
A person was killed and at least one other injured at a Vallejo sideshow overnight. Police found the victim just off Highway 37 near Lewis Brown Drive. And Dawn Lynn has the story.
A large sideshow with flames. It seems participants are upping the antics by pouring gasoline in the intersection to start a ring of fire with cars spinning donuts around it. Neighbors say there were dozens of cars and at least 100 spectators. They say it happened at the intersection of Lewis Brown and B.W. Williams Drives on Saturday between 12 and 12:40 a.m.
It did wake us up. I have two babies, so it woke up the youngest one, and they had fireworks going, so that's definitely what woke us up.
Katie and her family live near the intersection. She says sideshows are very common there, and sometimes people involved would fire their guns. So it wasn't a big surprise when Vallejo police say a man was shot and killed.
It's scary. It's terrifying. I love this community. I love Vallejo, but gun violence is an issue in our community.
Vallejo police say they received a call about the shooting just after 12:40 a.m. Two witnesses say they heard about 20 shots. Officers found a man with at least one gunshot wound. He died at the scene. No motive at this time. Detectives are trying to find out if he was a sideshow participant, spectator, or a passerby.
Both frustration and anger.
Mayor Robert McConnell says they have an interim police chief with roughly 70 officers. They're down by about 60 officers, missing almost half of the police force.
How do y'all think that this is going to turn out for these cities? They got 70. They supposed to have 130 police officers. They got 70 total. All shifts, all three shifts. Down 60 police officers. Total of 70. Bay Area is out of control. I mean, oh my gosh. Half of the police force is gone.
With help from allied agencies, he says officers arrested several people connected to the sideshow.
There were a total, I think, of 5 people arrested, one of which was a juvenile. One was taken to jail, the other were cited and
They
released.
don't even have no mayor. They got an interim mayor.
Already installed sideshow deterrent barriers at 20 locations, but Caltrans has jurisdiction over this intersection. Mayor McConnell and Councilwoman Christina Arriola would also like to increase punishment for both participants and spectators. Councilwoman Arriola and some residents even protested outside of a CHP office last month to demand help from the state.
Especially the governor who deployed all those units to Oakland. Well, give us a little bit too, you know? We could certainly use the help.
After the sideshow and shooting in Vallejo, many of the participants and spectators took over streets in Crockett, Richmond, and Oakland. Katie says these sideshows aren't just kids having innocent fun. They're dangerous.
I would hate for something to happen.
And most of those cars are stolies. I'm going to just tell y'all. Those ain't they cars, so they don't really care about them. They just going to dog them out, all right? Shout out to all of the people over there. I got my girl. Let me call my girl, Michaela, real quick. She just texted me.
Good morning.
What's up, baby girl? I'm on the live stream. How you feel?
I am fabulous. How are you?
I'm doing well. We streaming on Wednesday?
Wednesday is pretty booked up for me. I can give you a Thursday.
All right, we'll figure it out. I'm going to call you as soon as I get off the live stream, all right?
All right, baby.
All right, bye. Shout out to my girl, Michaela Montgomery. That's my homie. We've been talking, kicking it. We going to rock out. So I promise y'all this week, we're going to give y'all one of the dopest live streams ever. It is going to be absolutely, positively on 10. I promise you it's going to be on 10. So we planning things. We putting things together. We're going to make sure that y'all taken care of. But last but not least, also Hilton Shutters and Hotel, a historic hotel. The last hotel, well, maybe not the last hotel, but a hotel that's close to Oakland airport. It should be pretty interesting to see how that turns out. When a hotel that's attached to the airport can't even survive, that's pretty bad over in Oakland.
Hilton Hotel next to the Oakland airport will officially shut down on Wednesday, but today was its last day of operation. For many workers, it was also their last day at work as hotel guests checked out at noon today.
It is the latest major blow to the Hagenberger Airport corridor. A lot of restaurants have shut down in the last 18 months because of crime in the area. Don Lynn's got the story.
In 40 years.
40 years.
Did y'all see all of those hotels? Hold on, let me see something real quick. Let me back that up real quick. Everything is closed. Everything is closing in Oakland. Everything is closing. When you don't have no businesses, you don't really have a tax base. When you don't have any revenue coming in, when you don't have any jobs for people to go to, when you have nothing for people to do, that's literally death for a city. They are dying as far as their economic base, which is going to lead to more crime over in Oakland. Come on, y'all. Wake up.
Yeah. Don Lynn's got the story.
In 40 years.
40 years.
Yeah. Gina, thank you.
The final checkout on Sunday led to the final embrace for many Hilton workers.
Thank you. Good luck, huh?
Ijigulema, better known as Gigi to his co-workers, spent 35 years at this Hilton working as a bellman and guest service agent.
This is my last day today.
We all heartbroken right now. I spend more time here than my house. So the emotional effect is very high.
Sunday was the last day for many Hilton workers. Gigi says it was more than a job. It was one big family, all 152 workers.
Yesterday we
Another
had
152 workers laid off over in Oakland.
a reunion here. All the old-timers, we were crying, hugging, We wish everybody, a good luck.
Most of the employees are work long time here. We have a lot of memories on the place. It's our second home, second home.
I have, 150 people that I'd known, and now we're all going to be split apart. So, and I've been over here for 20 years.
Jude Correa thought he would retire here. Now he and many coworkers are looking for new jobs.
Every time a door closes, there's a better opportunity on the other side.
Hilton officials did not say.
Nope. That's not always the case. I know that we like to be positive, but sometimes that's just the end of an era, and that's just the end of it.
Why they're closing after 56 years of operating next to the Oakland airport. But the workers believe it's the result of the pandemic and crime. Gigi says losing the Raiders and the Warriors also led to fewer sports fans booking the hotel.
Crime is high. A lot of our customer vehicle been broken. The hotel bus has been stolen, taken. Catalytic converter has been taken.
The hotel sits on about 20 acres, a large campus with multiple buildings, 15,000 square feet of event space, and 360 rooms. It joins a growing list of businesses that's left Oakland.
We feel the weight. That's my father's legacy. For decades, it took a lot for him to build up that corridor in partnership with other leaders, the Port of Oakland, the businesses.
Councilwoman Treva Reed represents the
Look at that. Look at that, y'all. That don't concern y'all. Y'all not out here like, man, listen, we got to change. We got to fix it. The core of America, the core of any great city, the core of our states is businesses. It's small businesses. It's inspiring people. Is visitors coming in, tourism, sports teams. That's the whole reason. It's partnerships. That's the thing that funds your cities and lowers crime and gives people a purpose to continue to move about and do things productive and inspire them to continue to build more businesses. When you see a city dying, a dying city, trust me, I've seen it. And I'm so thankful that I get to see the revival of my own personal city after so many years. I remember when I used to come downtown, because I used to come down here for high school all the time, and then my mom used to work downtown for a minute, and I would go and visit my uncle over at EDS or whatever, and it was nothing happening in downtown Detroit while I was in high school. And now to see it so vibrant, even to the point to where I moved into the core of the city, it's a beautiful thing. So I know what it feels like to see a city dying like this. And it's unfortunate. It is a very, very, very sad state of things. And
Higginberger Business Corridor. She says she could not get some of the elected leaders to devote more resources in this area.
I don't think that we're failing. I think that it's crumbling.
And we disillusioned at the same time.
That there has been a failure of commitment to our district and to having our back.
The Port of Oakland owns the Hilton property and will take.
If anybody know who this woman is, I think she's a council person for Oakland. Y'all find out. I need to get her on the show. I need to understand what's going on.
Some time to decide what to do with it.
And my concern is what's going to happen with that large campus. What type of people are going to take over their property, and does the city have a plan for that?
Some neighbors worry the homeless will break in and take over the buildings.
They will.
As a longtime resident, Gigi also worries about the future of this property and his city.
Bye-bye, Hilton. Bye-bye. I don't see you no more. 35 years I spent my life here. Ciao, Hilton. Adios.
No more hotel guests. Workers say a small amount of people will stay on for a few more days to clean up the site before the hotel officially closes on Wednesday. And there's one more big closure coming in this area. The A's will play their final home game down the street at the end of next month.
That's so unfortunate. That is so unfortunate. And we have let crime rip this entire country apart and all of these democratic cities. But ladies and gentlemen, that is your quick hits. Let's go ahead and continue on with the show. It's sad. It's very, very sad to see stuff like this happening. Jeweled Alchemy Soap Company, LLC says, TikTok shop owner here. You don't need cash to set up a shop or be an affiliate. Also sent an email. Are you still collecting J's? No. Nope. Since I don't even buy Nikes anymore. I don't buy Jordans. I don't buy Nikes. I've completely, and a lot of people are familiar with this from last year or the year before last? I think it was the year before last. Once Nike, whatever that time was that, they started going super woke and Nike started getting rid of Kyrie Irving and all of that stuff. That's when I decided that I wasn't going to do any of that anymore. So I still got some really dope collector's pieces, some Fear of Gods. I got a pair of Air Force Ones, some 1985s. I think the Brooklyn 1985s. I have some, I got a bunch of stuff that I still haven't even worn yet. You know what I'm saying? That I love. or that I've collected from Nike. Some rare ones of some Jordan 11s, stuff like that. But as far as purchasing anything going forward, I have not purchased one pair of anything. Not Dunks, not Travis Scott's, not anything Nike anymore. I've completely divested myself from them. I don't buy anything Nike. I don't buy anything Adidas. I still got some rare Yeezys, some Zebras and stuff like that I haven't even worn yet. That's absolutely dope, but I don't buy anything from Nike. I kind of stick with some higher end brands at this point. I really like Balmain. I think that Balmain is dope. But when the people start going woke and they start getting involved in stuff that I don't want them to get involved with, and I just want some dope shoes, then I decided to get away from them. So shout out to you. I appreciate you for that. Let's continue on with the show. So with that being said, I want to get into this part of the show. Chris Cuomo, right? We're going to deep dive into the money. He dropped a video on his platform that I thought was very, very informative. And the basis behind it was 3 key takeaways from being at the Democratic National Convention. All right. So we're going to get into what he's talking about. And he reported, and I think he was pretty fair. He has some criticisms for both the Republicans and the Democratic side. And so I think that it's a good thing for us to be able to go over. If you haven't seen it already, I think that you'll be interested in seeing this. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Let's get into it, y'all.
No, look, I'm Chris Cuomo. Welcome to the Chris Cuomo Project. So, we're here at the DNC. Show them. Everybody's coming out. They're on their speakers. You know, the speakers during the day matter in a way that the speakers at night don't. The speakers at night are the stars, right? They're the galvanizers. But these are the soldiers. This entire convention is about a 2-tiered game. And that's going to be my third point that I'm going to tell you, but I don't want to waste it. These are the soldiers. The party needs these people, okay, who give this and they give this, all right? They don't necessarily give this. These are the people who work constituencies, work communities, work issues. So it's about energizing them, making them feel that it's worth it to take the time off their jobs, okay, to take the time away from their families. Big names galvanize that at night, right? They're the special sauce. Here are the 3 things that we've learned. 1, we now know what happened to Joe Biden. Joe Biden was absolutely pushed out. Joe Biden did not want to get out. Now look, you can say at this point, the party's fine with it. Every poll that we see has over 80, 90% of Democrats are good with the switch. So really, this is somewhat of a dead issue, all right? But it's good to know how we got here. It's good about what it means about party politics. So here's what happened. There are no chieftains in the Democratic Party. Barack Obama does not run the Democratic Party, okay?
Well, let's stop at his first point. He said that Joe Biden was absolutely pushed out, meaning that the president, the current serving president of the United States of America, had to bow the knee to a party, which he's going to go into a little bit later into this monologue that he has. Joe Biden was absolutely pushed out. He was bullied. How, in my opinion, and this is one of the takeaways that I have from it, how can we have trust that a person can lead us when they can't even stand on their own 2 feet on what he thinks is best for the country, let alone for his party? How you gonna lead a country and you're telling me you're in charge, but you feel like Joe Biden in his heart felt like he was the best person for the job? That means that everything that he said up on that stage as far as the first day, because he flew in and he flew out the same day. He flew in and he flew out the same day. The Democratic National Convention was supposed to be planned for him. It was supposed to be a celebration of him. It was supposed to be a celebration of his leadership. And also, it was supposed to be a championing of the fact that he is the best person to lead the United States of America going forward, which basically tells you that at the very least on the Democratic side, it's not democratic. You know what I'm saying? It's not based off of what's best for the country. It's based off of what's best for the party. A while ago, right, some years ago, back when Donald Trump first came into power, back in 2016, 15, 16 or whatever, because they didn't take Donald Trump seriously, the rise of MAGA, to Make America Great Again, the people that supported Donald Trump, it practically ripped the party apart because people were confused and it wasn't a part of the establishment. It wasn't a part of the status quo, which is one of the reasons why I like Donald Trump, is because he's not a lifetime career politician. And so what happened was he came in with a message of, we need to drain the swamp. And he would go at Republicans and he would go at Democrats and he would call them names and he would say, hey, this person is a POS. We need to fire this person, fire this person, fire this person. And that's kind of sort of the tumultuous relationship that came along with him and the governor of Georgia, right? And now they're supposed to be on better terms or whatever, so on and so forth. But my point is that what Chris Cuomo is telling y'all is that this is party politics, not the best person for the job, not the best person for the policy, not any of that stuff. They trying to control the Congress. They trying to control all of your legislative branches, and they pick who they want you to vote for, not the other way around. You are not the people that are picking, which is one of the reasons why you didn't have a primary. You didn't have a runoff. You didn't have anything. They gave you Kamala Harris, in which that's why we say it's a diversity, equity, and inclusion pick. Joe Biden was given Kamala Harris. I don't believe for one moment that Joe picked Kamala. This is my personal opinion. I don't believe for one moment that Joe Biden picked Kamala to be his vice president of the United States of America. I don't believe it. I believe that was selected for him. The same way that he was pushed out is the same way that I think that he picked Kamala Harris. It wasn't his pick. I don't even think that Joe Biden is running the White House. I think that they making Joe think that he has some power, and he has nothing. He is nothing but a talking head. He is nothing but a figure for people to give you. So when you think that Joe Biden is the one that is making the decisions, the question that we have for ourselves is, who is really running the White House? Who's the person that is charged? Who's the person in charge? I don't believe, even in my heart, as much as whether you like or you dislike Joe Biden, whether you think he did a good job, whether you think that his 50 years in politics was good or bad, in no way, shape, or form can you convince me that Joe Biden is the person that picked or is making the decisions every single day on what's going on inside of the White House. Never. Because I believe when it was early reports in 2021 to 2022, where I was reporting that it was so much chaos and it was leaks that was coming out from her camp and his camp, that she was difficult to work with. People hated being up under her, and that they didn't really rock with her like that. But they needed her in order to secure a certain vote. So that is true politics. That is truly what is happening within our political sphere. He was pushed out. How you gonna push out supposedly the most powerful person in the world, the leader of the free nation, supposedly? How do you push out somebody? Listen, everything that he said in that speech, it falls on deaf ears for me now. All of the celebrations, the signs that they had, we love you, Joe. Fake. All of the signs that they had, we love you. Oh, thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe. All of the chants, all of the accolades and stuff is nothing more than a posturing and a presentation, but it's not how people really feel. And the one thing that I've always said is, I don't want nobody to be here for me just because they think that that's what I want them to do. You got to be here because you want to be here. Even in a relationship, I don't want to be around nobody that don't want to be here. That's my one rule. I will never force you to be here against your will. You got to want to be here. You got to want to rock with me. You got to be authentic in what it is. Now, if we looking at it from a business perspective, hey, we don't necessarily rock with each other, but look, I need you to do your job and I'm going to do my job. That's what corporate America is for. But if the most powerful person supposedly is the person that is basically being pushed out, he was bullied. Joe Biden, according to Chris Cuomo, was bullied out of his position. What does that tell you? What does that tell you about us and how it is that we're marketed to as far as who it is that we're supposed to pick? And most people don't even select things based off of their own. They don't have their own mind. They're not picking on their own. It's being picked for you, and then you're celebrating it as a result of it. I'm going to try to skip through this and we don't get through this.
That's not how it works. It's about constituencies and influence in that moment. So what happened? They were learning from regional pollsters that in counties that mattered, that would determine congressional seats, Democrats were sinking. The presidential nominee, the presumptive one, Biden, wasn't able to get there, wasn't able to pump them up. wasn't able to deliver money. Moments become momentum in politics. Moments become momentum in politics. What does that mean? The polls start to drop. The local organizers start to worry. The donor base starts to hear about it, starts to get a little itchy. Am I making a bad investment? The people who are your bundlers that I've talked to you about before, the people who call the people with the money, started to get nervous.
Think about that, y'all. The people with the money start to get nervous. The people with the money, the donor base, they are saying, are we making a bad investment and giving you guys money because I'm not sure that you're going to be able to deliver, not only from the president, but all of these congressional districts that is going to control where it is that they have money put into what's happening. Look, man, look, I'm going to just be real with you. I'm going to be 100% real with you. It's dirty. It's dirty. All of them big speeches, all of the, oh my God, we're going to go after the I was looking at a video and I did a review of it on the Anton Daniels channel with a long time campaign worker and was always involved for years and years and years in political politics and the DNC and the Democratic Party and stuff like that. And they said it. They said, listen, she said it. Go and look at my video. She said, majority of the time, 90-something% of the time, they do not talk to the voters. They do not talk to the people. They only calling and talking to and getting feedback from big money people. They are on the phone begging all day long, getting their campaign workers, getting on the phone with certain people. If certain people donate a certain amount of money, then they can get the president on the phone and they are begging. Oh my God, are you going to donate? Are you going to create this super PAC? Begging all day long. She said it turned her off so much. It turned her off so much that she's not even willing to continue to vote for Democratic people anymore because she see how dirty that they really are. Because see, it's one thing for you to present to me and say, hey man, listen, yep, we are going to cut taxes, but we're going to cut taxes for rich people so that they can ultimately bring their money back from overseas over here and show me what's really going on. The thing that I like about Trump, even though I know that he can't say everything. I know that he's also, in a way, bought and paid for. Absolutely. I'm not delusional. I'm not going to sit here and promote something for you that's not real. I also think that he has the best interests of the people in heart. I know that he can't win this election unless he got big money donors behind him too. And that is a fact. And I also know that there's probably some favors that's being dished out here and there. I'm not crazy. I'm not delusional. I'm 100% objective, but I still think that he's the best candidate for the job. And one of the reasons that I like him is because I prefer for somebody to be realer for me and say, hey, man, listen, I do got to make some sacrifices, but I'm going to see you on the back end. Tell me what's really going on and say, yeah, man, look, this is, but don't sit here and pretend to me like you for the people, like they are on the Democratic side, when we know for a fact that every single decision that they make is not what's best for the people, is based off of how they're being controlled. Similarly to how Joe Biden got pushed out of office. You're not going to sit here and tell me that these people are on the up and up and that they're presenting to you the truth. Listen, don't lie to me. Don't lie to me to my face. Don't lie to me to my face. Two things could be true. You could also be going to get the bag, but at the same time, help me to understand whether or not you're going to help me. You can't sit here and tell me, oh my God, we going to fix immigration in this country. I thought that it was already fixed. I thought that y'all had it under control. Yeah, we going to come up and we going to fix what's going. You've been in the office for the last 3.5 years. Y'all have controlled the office for the last 12 of 16 years. What is there to fix if y'all haven't been fixing it already? But every election season, talking points. And all we going to say is, I can't believe that y'all not getting on board because they black and we need to get the boule involved. I am not suicidal. I love my life. I 100% love my life. I am not under duress. I am not feeling like I need to kill myself. I feel very, very great, and I am not suicidal. Let me skip past that. I want to go over into another point that he goes into.
Now's the third point, okay? And this, to me, is the biggie. What did we hear at the RNC? We're going after the elites, baby. We're going after these big corporations with their two set of rules, where it's all about them, and Trump can do it because he knows them, and they can't own him, even though he's taking their money hand over fist in ways and amounts we've never seen before. Out where I live on Long Island, insane amounts of money, millions per person. Wow. That's what they said. What do you hear here? Going after the corporations for price gouging. That's why you have high grocery prices. I don't really believe that, by the way. The margins in groceries are very thin. It's about the supply chain. It's about the cost structure. It's about the cost of money. It's about how much money was put in to the economy. It's complicated. It's a world market. It's a world explanation. We don't like complicated in politics. So it's convenient to say go after the corporations and the gouging. Fine, everybody loves that. But here's the reality. You want to hear something that is a fucking shocker? These are the people. These are the soldiers. And look who's looking down on us. Look who's looking down on us. Ringing around. Look all the way around. You start at the first level with the media people. They didn't get those boxes for free. They did not get those boxes for free. You then get to the next level of suites. You see all those suites with glass boxes? On the other side, there are these curtains that get pulled across when people come in for meetings. Those are all corporate donors. 500 grand, 700 grand, $1 million, $1.5 million. I'm not making up the numbers. They're on the menu sheet for the convention. RNC, same fucking thing. So literally, the people you say you're going to go after are looking down on you. You want to go get them, go fucking get them. They're right there. The money has exploded in politics. You almost don't have two parties when it comes to this anymore. The theory of the uniparty is real in as much as this one point is true. They need the money. And after Citizens United, legal money is the most dangerous money in the game now. PACs, super PACs. It allowed corporations and rich individuals to completely go around and blow up any kind of common sense about what matters in politics and motivating message.
So the message, the point of this whole conversation is, the message is for you. The real work, right? The real people that are determining what is happening in this country, they right there at the Democratic National Convention. They're right there at the Democratic National Convention. They pull the curtain close, right? When certain people come in, they got the back entrances. They paying $500,700,000. What you think that place is packed with volunteers? You think that the Democratic National Convention, that they make their money based off of volunteerism? You over there on the streets, hustling out, putting up street signs, getting people to sign up, getting people to register to vote. Who you think that's funding this whole thing? Do you know how much they are paying people to work at campaign polling places? I know. I'm familiar because I know people that do it. I know that they're exploding in the amount of money that they're incentivizing people to work that push a certain agenda on election day. If you want to go for the corporate interests that are clapping for you in your speech, that is funding your campaign in these super PACs, they right there. They're right there. They're in the suites, looking down on the very people that are smitten with the speech, and it's all a chess game. I love the game of chess. I love the game of chess. You know why? Because chess is a reflection of life. Most people are pawns, and they only go one way. And they're the most sacrificial of them all. 100%. This show, we're going to get into the housing crisis that's coming up. If you don't think that there are people that are going to benefit significantly, and see, I don't have access to these rooms. I only have access to the roomers. And so I operate, and one of the things that we talk about aside of the Patreon, if you were a part of Stock Club this weekend, if you weren't a part of Stock Club, you really missed it. You can go back and you can rewatch it and you can go and talk about it and have a conversation. But I broke down more than just the stocks. I broke down the behind the scenes of how things happen in certain rooms that I've been in that's basically manufactured understanding that you are going to suffer as a result of it, but in their mind it's for the greater good of those that ultimately are the decision makers and the shareholders and the ones that is the big money donors and all of this that's happening. If you don't think for 1 second that almost every single thing that you do, your very thoughts are manufactured and given to you. Most of these people think that they are free thinkers because they're told that this is what a free thinker thinks like. You missing it. You missed it. You missed it. You missed the whole thing. Most people think that they are free thinkers. When I hear somebody say I'm woke, I know that they got that as a talking point from somebody else that told them that this is what woke is. Most people think that they are free thinkers because they were told that this is what a free thinker thinks like. You are marketed the whole idea of being a free thinker. Let me go ahead and move on. I got to read a couple super chats. I don't want to get too deep into this. Let's see. Dean Murray says this election is giving Manchurian candidate vibes. They got Biden look like Professor X and Logan. Will Livingston is in the building. Shout out to my dog, Will Livingston. He says, when these politicians going to figure out not to kill the golden goose, they not killing the golden goose. That's what they telling you that they going to do. When has big businesses ever been killed? And think about this in your lifetime, Will. In your lifetime, when have they ever truly went after anybody? Let me say it again for the people in the back. When have they ever, any Democrat, during Obama's administration when we had the housing crisis and they said that they was going to go after big bankers, Kamala Harris herself sit there and champions and says, listen, I fought for consumers in California and won $20 billion for the housing crisis. A district attorney is supposed to be prosecuting criminals. One person went to jail for the housing crisis, one sacrificial lamb, and they already out. One person. During Obama's administration, how many of these people, when they were bailing out the banks, see, these are the conversations that I have offline. I don't really have this online. How many people actually went to jail as a result of what was happening during the housing crisis and the banking crisis, and everybody got rich? How many of these corporate entities do they really go after? Who? What? When? Where? Why? And how? Who? What corporation did they ever go after? Who? Name one. Because this is the same speech that I've been hearing since I've been alive. It's the same speech that I've heard. I'm going to go after the corporate bad guys. I'm going to go after the corporate bad guys. I'm going to be tough on corporate. Meanwhile, corporate is all around in the Democratic National Committee. Like, yeah. That's why they say quiet money is silent. It's not about whether or not you flashing. It's about whether or not you are the person that is controlling what is happening in society. And they don't want you to know that they're controlling what's happening in society. Black Samurai, big money rules. If you want influence in politics, get your bag up. Shout out to you. I appreciate you. Let's continue to rock out, man. Let's continue to run it up. We got a long show for y'all today. We got a lot. I'm gonna give you the entertainment, but I'm just playing, y'all. Don't worry about it. I'm just playing. I ain't really mean what I was saying. It's just entertainment. I'm just reacting to what Chris Cuomo said. I don't know nothing. You know, I'm stupid. I'm dumb. I'm a C student. I don't know nothing. I'm stupid as piss. I'm confused. I'm just saying stuff. I don't even know if I'm saying what I'm saying. I'm just saying it because I'm saying it because Chris Cuomo told me to say it. Anyways, let's continue on with the show. So RFK Jr. decided that he wanted to endorse Trump for president of the United States of America. RFK Jr. decided that he wanted to endorse Trump for president of the United States of America, and it pissed people off. It absolutely pissed people off. His own family have disowned him before he even decided to go independent. Let's get into it.
And joining us now is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Welcome to Fox News Sunday.
Shannon, thanks for having me.
Okay, so let's get this out of the way up front. You and President Trump not always fans of each other. He posted on social media earlier this year, he's one of the most liberal lunatics ever to run for office. A phony radical left fool whose poll numbers are terrible and getting worse. The New Yorker said just a couple of weeks ago this: in a recent text exchange, Kennedy told one person that Trump was a terrible human being, the worst president ever and barely human. He is probably a sociopath. Now, I haven't read your text, so you can speak to that, but how did you get from that position to Friday night?
Well, you know, it became clear to me that I did not have a path to victory. 16 months of censorship, of not being able to get on any network really except for Fox. And I had, in fact, when Ross Perot ran, in the 10 months that he ran, he had 34 appearances on the networks. I had 2 appearances in 16 months. So I was blocked out from the networks. I was blocked out from the debate. I had no path to victory. President Trump had been reaching out to me. And I talked to him a few hours after the assassination attempt, and we had a long conversation by phone. I then had 2 extensive meetings, and there were issues, the broad issues that were most important to me, the ones that brought me into the campaign, which was ending the Ukraine war, ending the censorship, and protecting children's health. We're all reforming our food supply, all the things that we need to do to make our children healthy again. Those are all things that President Trump also wanted to work on. And he invited me to form a unity government. We agreed that we'd be able to continue to criticize each other on issues on which we don't agree. But these issues are so important in their way of unifying our country. We need in this country to reach a point where we love our children more than we hate each other.
It's a good unifying theme that I think a lot of people could get around. It's how we get there. That's always the devil is in the details. Have you all negotiated over or talked about a cabinet position, another position within a Trump government in exchange for your endorsement?
No, there's been no commitments. But I met with President Trump, with his family, with his closer advisors, and we just made a general commitment that we were going to work together.
What about the states where you're trying to get off of a number of swing state ballots to say, I'm going to stay on a number of state ballots, but in these swing states, I'm going to try to withdraw myself and ask my supporters, or at least you're telling them, think about supporting President Trump. Did you negotiate over which states you would try to withdraw from?
Yeah, I mean, we all knew which states they were. There basically is 10 swing states where my presence in the race would have helped Vice President Harris.
So it's all a play, right? Because a lot of people are saying that this is a big coup for Trump because his staying in the race ultimately affected Trump, because most people that supported, or most people that would support Trump, also is taking a look at Robert F. Kennedy Jr., right? But when you start to think about, because automatically it affects the Harris campaign, which is one of the reasons why they were actually having closed doors meetings with the Harris campaign also. They were trying to get him to endorse Kamala Harris because it absolutely hurts her in the swing states. If you have a bunch of undecided voters, it really doesn't matter what happens in California. It doesn't matter what happens in New York. One of the things that they're already projecting is that they're saying that Kamala Harris is already going to win a popular vote. Kamala Harris is already going to win a popular vote. Why? Because most people that live in these Democratic hellholes or in these blue states that they already know is going to fight for or is already going to vote for Kamala Harris, they're not tripping about it. And so when you take New York, that got 8 million people over in New York in this Democratic hellhole, you take the people over there in LA, right? And in California, we know, even though they may have the suburbs that have people that actually care about their states and their cities, we know that the suburbs may turn red, but in a general sense, you already know that New York and California is already going to be blue. So if the majority of the population live in these densely populated urban communities, okay, well, she going to win the popular vote. But does that actually represent the best interest of America, which is one of the reasons why you have the Electoral College, right? And they take away the amount of delegates that you have in certain spaces depending on the population and how these districts are drawn. So now what he's basically saying is, with my endorsement with Trump, because I actually met with him, similarly to how black people met with Trump, and they're asking for things. And so one of the things that he's asking for, and I think that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is a genuine person, and that's one of the reasons why he resonates with people, not just with his background and his family, but he resonates with people because he truly cares about the health of young people and children and all of this other stuff. And I don't know if it's just because of his own life experiences of what he's went through as far as why his voice sounds the way it sounds and everything like that. But he's basically saying, listen, you guys can vote for me in these states that don't even matter. Long story short. But in the swing states, I'm going to remove myself off the ballot, and I'm going to tell you to vote red because I think that this is the party and Trump himself more closely aligned with my values instead of what's being sold to you by the Democratic Party. Now, why would he say that?
And would have harmed President Trump. So I'm going to get off the ballot in those states, and then we're going to stay on the ballot in 30 states. And, I'm encouraging people to vote for me in those states. Those are states where the votes, they're either all red or all blue states where their votes are not going to change the outcome of the race.
I'm gonna read that super chat shortly.
But in the states where I would have been a spoiler, I'm going to get out. So it's about 10 states.
Okay, so there were reports a couple weeks ago citing an official from your camp and also a Democratic official saying that there'd been outreach to the Harris camp as well to possibly discuss you working within the Harris administration in exchange for an endorsement of her. Is that true? And what happened with that?
I reached out to them on the same basis that I reached out to President Trump, and we actually talked to other presidential candidates, including Chase Oliver and the Libertarian Party, about figuring out ways that we could end the polarization and the hatred and the vitriol, start talking about issues. And I was welcome to listen to anything from the Democrats that they were going to do something about the war, about the Ukraine war, about the censorship, about the child health crisis, this epidemic of chronic disease that has now disabled about 60% of our kids. And when my uncle was President, Shannon, only 6% of Americans had chronic disease. Today, over 60% do. And it's hard to find a kid today that's not been damaged by it. And it's coming from our food supply, from pollution in our environment, from toxics in our environment, and mainly from corruption in our government that allows that to happen.
You've talked about, or there's been...
So what he's basically saying is, listen, he reached out to the Harris campaign at the same time that he reached out to the Trump campaign, and he couldn't really get in touch with anybody from the Harris campaign in order to speak with her about the issues that were most passionate to him, which one of them being our food supply, which I think is a big issue, pollution in this country. And he's substantiating his argument by saying that when his father was president, it was only a 6% chronic health problem amongst children in our country. Now it's over 60% and growing, and you cannot find a kid that don't have a chronic health problem since inception or since birth. And he said that, listen, the Trump campaign was willing to work with me and they was willing to hear me out. And the Harris campaign, it was like, we ain't really trying to hear what you got to say. Have a nice life with your voice, big dog.
Discussion that if you were to join the Trump administration in some health-related position, that you have real interest in dismantling things like the FDA, the CDC, NIH. You would like to see a focus away from infectious diseases to what you're talking about, more chronic diseases. Is it fair to say that you would try to dismantle some of those organizations?
No, I wouldn't dismantle them. I would change the focus, and I would end the corruption. Right now, 75% of FDA's budget is coming from pharmaceutical companies.
RFK, now I see why these big donors don't want him in the office. hey, I thought that they killed pharmaceutical companies. I thought that they beat pharmaceutical companies. Hold on, wait. Let's say that again. I thought that they beat Big Pharma. Let me see this again.
Right now, 75% of FDA's budget is coming from pharmaceutical companies.
I thought that they said they took on and they beat Big Pharma. Ain't that a part of both Biden and Harris's speeches? That they took on and they beat Big Pharma. What you think, that pharmaceutical companies is only invested in giving y'all the blue chews and stuff like that? He know too much, Mr. EO. He know too much. What they said during the Democratic National Convention is that they took on and they beat Big Pharma. That's what I heard. That's what I seen. That's what they said that they did. They said that they did it during her tenure. They did it during his tenure. That they beat Big Pharma.
That is a perverse incentive. In NIH, if you scientists and officials in NIH who work on drug development, who incubate drugs for the pharmaceutical company, get to collect lifetime royalties from those products. These are regulators. They're supposed to be looking for problems in those products. We have these agencies that have become sock puppets for the industries they're supposed to regulate. So they're not really interested in public health. Everybody, the most profitable thing today in America is a sick child. Everybody is making money. The hospitals are making money. The pharmaceutical companies are making money. Even the insurance companies make money. And we need to end those perverse incentives. We need to get the corruption out of FDA, out of NIH, out of CDC, and make them function as they're supposed to function, which is to protect public health and particularly children's health.
I'm going to go back to your decision from Friday.
He knows he's talking too much. He's saying the quiet part out loud. Listen, RFK, you not going to be in here messing up the money. You not going to come in here and be upsetting these good folk money. Hop on, who this man? RFK, you think that America is truly about helping the people? America is about profits, baby. We haven't forgot our morals. We haven't, listen, since the Santa Maria, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria was over here, the thing that we cared about amongst all, listen, we'd kick it with the Indians unless they want to start messing up the money. No, you know what? They messing up. Hey, General Colonel Sanders. Hey, Colonel Sanders. Navajo over here think that he gonna mess up the money of what we got going on over here. Now we trying to figure out where to grow the good crops at, because we trying to establish some trade canals back with the home country over here. Now, General Navajo over here, are you willing to concede? We'll give you some furs, we'll give you some golds, we'll give you some guns, we'll give you a lot of different things. We'll set you up over there good and plenty over there on that land over there. But the one thing you ain't, so you're not going to concede? Let's give them some chicken pox and some blankets. We're going to tell them that we're going to give them some blankets so they don't be cold no more. We're going to give them some chicken pox. We're going to give them some chicken pox. Listen, bro, let me tell you something. At the end of the day, you can have your own little side quest that you got going on over here. You got your own little side quest that you got going on over there, but you not going to mess up the money. We're going to give the illusion that we're going to go after the big corporations, but we're not going to mess up the money. Hey, Big Pharma over there. You do know that the people is getting a little bit upset at this opioid crisis, so we're going to have to give you a slap on the wrist over there, but you can hide your left hand. Just give me your right hand, give you a little slap. Who's going to be the sacrificial lamb over there? Okay, give you a little slap on this hand.
Both you and Nicole Shanahan, your running mate, have talked about how you feel like the Democrats completely mistreated you, excluded you from the process. How much of your decision Friday is about revenge or motivated by punishing Democrats in some way?
Zero. I don't act in anything in my life. I don't act out of anger or revenge or resentment. It's a bad motivation. It's like swallowing poison and hoping someone else will die. And so I don't do it. I am very pragmatic and practical, and I am focused on one thing, which is how do we restore health for our children? And
you can forget it. That's big money. Your child needs to go to the doctor. They need to pay these insurance premiums. Nobody is trying to end and give y'all good health. It's big money, and listen, it's big money. Shout out to RFK Jr. Let me tell you something. It's huge. Big money and suffering. Suffering is where the money is at. I can't make no money off the death. We need to keep you alive. Hey, keep them pumping them up with drugs. Give them some insulin. We're going to put 35. We're going to put 30. I'm starting to talk like RFK Jr. We're going to put $35 cap on the insulin. All right? Because we got to make sure that we keep these people alive. All right, we're going to put some signs on the cigarette packs until we can get them transitioned. We're going to legalize trees. We're going to legalize that good old puff pass. We're going to make some money off that. We're going to legalize it, and we're going to also treat the problems that come along with the issues that they wind up having, and then we're going to let them pass some diseases. I know over there in Houston, y'all giving 2-for-1 herpes and chlamydia at the same time. We're going to let the people, because we need more nurses. We got to have jobs, insurance companies. We got to make sure that we get these pharmaceutical companies over here treating the problems. We not solving for HIV. We're treating it until you're no longer showing signs of HIV, but you have to stay on the medicine for your entire life. Let me say that again. We're not treating and solving and curing. There is no cure for this thing, all right? But what we can do in your herpes outbreak, we can make sure that you're non-active. Is that the word for it? Non-active? Listen, we're going to go ahead and put this inside of the food. Let me stop. I don't know nothing. I'm just talking. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know the words that's coming out of my mouth. Let me read some of these super chats. The Masked Man says, did you hear Stephen A. made fun of JFK Jr.'s voice on the podcast? I couldn't believe it. I'm okay with that. I didn't hear it, but I'm okay with that. Everybody should be able to get these jokes. You know what I'm saying? Everybody should get these jokes. CJ C Love 18 says Kamala is trying to back out of the ABC debate. Is she? Send me that. I need to do some research on that. Trump wants the mics muted when the other person is speaking and Kamala doesn't. Interesting. So they want to backtrack off of that. Well-Building Journey says there's profit in keeping people sick and stupid. Stupid more than sick, but sick comes with stupid. Remember that. Freedom Care Podcast says I've been rocking with RFK for a while. He has some really good policies. Moderate, straight down the middle, a good guy a lot of people rock with. He's not good for big business, though. So he'll never get in. Scooby Don says, yo, AD, RFK, not the only one whistleblowing on Big Pharma. Tucker have 2 interviews exposing Big Pharma and Purdue Chicken Fam. How it's tied to opium. How it's tied to opium. I got you. No Lames TV in the building says good health habits stop population control. That's true. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Let's pivot for a second. Let's go over to JD Vance. Now, I want to continue to bring this to the front of the congregation because what doesn't get highlighted, let me say that again, what doesn't get highlighted from the media and social media influencers and what's not popular is the fact that Trump and JD Vance continue to take these off-the-cuff interviews and questions from reporters, and they keep going in hostile territory. They regularly show up and appear in places where people are expecting them to traditionally never go to and take the questions off script, no problems. Hit me with it. Hit me with your best question, and I'll answer it truthfully and to the best of my ability. But the one thing that I'm not going to do is prevent you from asking the questions that you want to ask. Meanwhile, we haven't seen anybody from the Kamala Harris campaign, neither Tim Walz, because they travel together. They travel in a bus together with their wives and their husbands or whatever, and we have not seen the Harris campaign or Tim Walz himself sit in an interview on Fox News or any hostile territory or anything like that. We haven't seen anything whatsoever. And so I'm very much impressed with JD Vance. I didn't know a lot about him before him being picked as a vice presidential candidate, but I'm very, very impressed with JD Vance, especially sitting in front of another black woman. No, is that this? Hold on, wait. Is that the same black woman that went after Trump? Hold on, let me see something. Trump, NABJ. I think that's the same black woman. What is her name? Oh, yeah, that's definitely her. That is her. That is 100% her. 100% that is her. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So he's still so wait a minute. They still don't mind going into hostile enemy territory. Question for everybody that supports the Democrats. I think it's a fair question to ask. Shout out to my dog, Eric Daniels. He's the leader of the liberals inside of the chat. He likes to act like he's not really liberal and that he's really independent, but he's the leader of the liberals. Here's my question for the people that's in the chat that kind of champions the Democratic cause and that has a vested interest. And that is absolutely her. That is 100% her. You're not going to sit here and tell me that that's not her. Here's my question. Same pantsuits and everything. Y'all telling me that that's not her? It looked like her. All right, hold on. Let me see something. That's not her? So she be on ABC. Y'all telling me that don't look like her? What's her name? What's her name? Y'all saying that I said that all black people look the same? Let me get a close-up of her. I need a close-up picture. Let me see, get a close-up. Tell me her name. Tell me the two different names of the women so I can do a compare and contrast. Maybe all black women are starting to look the same. Kristen Welker, that's her name, that's what y'all saying? Kristen Welker versus who? She don't look the same as her? Kristen Welker. Let me look up Kristen Welker. Oh, that ain't her. You're right. Kristen kind of look good, though, on the low, though. Let me see. Kristen Welker and ABC. What's the other one's name? Rachel Scott? Oh, y'all was right. All right, I'll take that L. I just want to do a compare and contrast. The other one name is Rachel Scott. Is it Rachel Scott? Oh, dang, they don't look nothing alike. Well, listen, they both women of color, right? They both women of color. I thought that we all got the same designations. No, we're not using the same designations. They both women of color, right? They don't look the same, I'll give you that much. And she got a little bit more of a square jaw. Look, they all designate them as women of color nowadays. It ain't no difference between black and white. Hey, somebody said the bifocals ain't focal, and y'all saying I need a new prescription? Oh, y'all got me sweating in here. All right, let's go ahead and get into this interview. Let's not focus on me. Let's not focus. I warned y'all before the show was even going to start that we was going to be doing what we do and we go off script, all right? Anyways, let's continue.
Senator J.D. Vance, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for having us here in Cincinnati. Let's start off with the Democratic National Convention.
Sure.
Some of what we heard this past week. Vice President Kamala Harris in making her case.
She just got a lot of makeup on. Y'all can't blame me for that. I don't think I should take the L for this one. I don't think that I should take the L for this one. I'm going to take it, though. I'm going to take my L because y'all keep saying, Anton, you got to take your L. Okay, I'm going to take my L. Y'all said I need to get the Apple Vision Pros. I'm going to take my L. However, she got a lot of makeup on this part. She got a lot of makeup on, all right?
said that the tariff plans that Donald Trump is proposing will hurt the middle class. Here's what she said specifically, quote, he intends to enact what in effect is a national sales tax, call it a Trump tax, that would raise prices on middle-class families by almost $4,000 a year. Now, the estimates vary, but how do you respond to that charge that Trump's tariffs would hurt the middle class?
Yeah, so if you step back a little bit, Kristen, there's this whole thing that Kamala Harris did at the convention where she made a bunch of claims about what would happen and not enough actually reflection on what already happened, right? Because Donald Trump was already president. He used tariffs to bring manufacturing jobs back to our country, and I think he'll do it again. And he did it while keeping prices extremely low. Because if you go back to the Trump presidency, we had 12,000 factories that were built during Donald Trump's presidency. Inflation never really ticked above 2% his entire administration. In fact, was sort of, around.
Let's back that up, though, J.D. Vance. We're not going to skip past that part.
We had 12,000 factories that were built during Donald Trump's presidency.
Let's continue.
Inflation never really ticked above 2% his entire administration. In fact, was sort of, around 1.5% most of the time that he was president. So when Kamala Harris says, if we do the thing that Trump already did, it's going to be way worse than it was last time, I just don't think that makes a lot of sense.
Well, let's talk about Trump's record during his first term. He did impose rounds of tariffs, and it cost Americans nearly $80 billion in new taxes. Do you acknowledge that imposing more tariffs will ultimately cost consumers?
Well, what it really does is it penalizes importers from bringing goods outside the country into the country. And I think that's just a necessary thing. We know that China and a number of other countries are using effectively slave labor to undercut the wages of American workers. Donald Trump thinks that has to stop. And again, what Kamala Harris is saying, Kristen, is that if you do this, you're somehow going to cause skyrocketing inflation. In reality, Donald Trump already did it. He brought a lot of jobs back, and it didn't cause inflation.
But it caused consumers to pay more. They paid more in taxes, $80 billion worth. Do you acknowledge that consumers ultimately will pay more if there are more tariffs imposed?
So economists...
Do you just acknowledge that?
No, I don't, Kristen, because I think economists really disagree about the effects of tariffs because there can be a dynamic effect, right? So what some economists will say is what you just said, that it will actually raise costs for consumers. But what other people say, and I think the record supports what this other view, is that it causes this dynamic effect where more jobs come into the country. Anything that you lose on the tariff from the perspective of the consumer, you gain in higher wages. So you're ultimately much better off. You have more take-home pay, you have better jobs, and also we have more reliance. Because one of the things we learned during COVID, I don't, by the way, blame Democrats for this, but one of the things we learned during COVID, Kristen, is that if our supply chains are really brittle, if we depend on the Chinese to make too much of our stuff, then prices can skyrocket at a time of crisis. The economists who say that tariffs are bad, they don't take that into account. And we've all learned it the hard way.
And it is economists across the board, really. I mean,
J.D. Vance is I could see why he graduated from Yale. J.D. Vance is sharp. Is sharp. Now, J.D. Vance is the vice presidential candidate. Whether it was J.D. Vance or Vivek Ramaswamy, all of them are more than well prepared to be able to take on this question. And what they're not asking you and what they're not adding into this equation when she's factoring in this question is if the tariffs are so bad, then why did Biden leave them in place? Let me say that again for the people in the back. If the tariffs are so bad, if it was such a bad idea for him to renegotiate the North American Free Trade Agreement, for him to save the steel industry, right? For them to build all of these factories during the Trump administration, for them to also manage and keep inflation at an all-time low while they were doing all of this. And then at the same time, the economy was booming, jobs was booming, people was able to go to the grocery store, gas was low, all across the board, everybody was winning. Everybody was winning. And if the tariffs were so bad that we were levying against China because they unfairly were taking away American jobs and using slave labor in order to continue to infiltrate what was going on in our economy, then why did he leave them in place? He never removed the tariffs. He had the power to do so. Why didn't they do it? I'm waiting. Anybody? Anybody? I'm just curious. Why didn't they do it? Why didn't they take the tariffs down? Oh, Trump's tariffs was horrible. Let's tear them down. Why didn't they do it? Why did they leave them in place? They didn't remove one tariff, not one. They didn't champion it and say, hey, man, we still leaving these tariffs in place. They didn't promote it, but they absolutely left the tariffs in place. Why? Anybody? Somebody, please.
Wall Street Journal says economic data showed that Donald Trump's trade war with China did not achieve its objectives of reversing the declines in U.S. manufacturing or reshoring factory jobs. I hear what you're saying. It's a complicated picture, but just on that bottom line point, you can't guarantee that Americans won't wind up paying a penny more, can you?
Well, I think that what you can guarantee is that if you don't bring more manufacturing jobs back into this country, you don't make our supply chains more stable, you're going to cause higher prices over the long term. I think that is what is absolutely true.
But you acknowledge they could wind up paying more?
What I acknowledge, Kristen, is that unless we bring more manufacturing jobs back to this country, we are going to end up paying more in the long term. Remember, the whole promise, now, again, this was a bipartisan thing. My own party was as wrong about it as Democrats were, and Donald Trump was right about it. What they said is that if you shipped all of our manufacturing to East Asia and to Mexico, Americans would pay lower prices. Well, here we are now, and Americans are paying higher prices. And just one more thing on this, Kristen, because it's really important to go at what Kamala Harris actually said in her convention speech. She says that she wants to stand up to China on behalf of American workers. If you're not willing to impose tariffs on companies that are manufacturing in China, using slave labor in China, you're not standing up to the Chinese, and Americans are really going to suffer.
And on pricing and prices right now, inflation obviously at its lowest level since 2021. But let's move on. Robert F. Kennedy, the big news yesterday.
Very big news.
He suspended his campaign, announced he's endorsing Donald Trump. He is also known as someone who has blamed vaccines for autism, antidepressants for school shootings, and recently said, quote, he won't take sides on what happened on 9/11. Do you have any hesitation about accepting his endorsement?
No, Kristen, I don't, because we're going to disagree on issues, right? There are things that Robert Kennedy has said that I disagree with. I'm sure there are things that he said, or that I've said, excuse me, that he's going to disagree with. But I think what his endorsement represents is that Donald J. Trump's Republican Party is a big tent party. I was raised by two grandparents who are sort of classic blue dog Democrats. They believed in having a border. They believed that you shouldn't have censorship in the United States of America. They believed in common sense economic policies. They may have disagreed with Donald Trump about tax policy, but they believed in some fundamental American values. And I think what RFK's endorsement really shows is that the Kennedy Democrats are actually more at home in the Republican Party of Donald Trump. And unfortunately, Kamala Harris's party, higher prices, doing nothing to fight back against the Chinese, to say nothing of a wide open border. That is not JFK's Democratic Party. It's not RFK's Democratic Party. We're thrilled to have the Kennedy Democrats where they belong.
Well, and some in the Kennedy family have stepped forward to say that they sharply disagree with this endorsement. But let's just go back very quickly. He says he isn't taking.
Why are, because again, I know that J.D. Vance volunteered himself as tribute, and Trump at times take questions from reporters that obviously stand differently than him as far as fundamental issues. Why are these people so dead set on trying to prove a point? Because as a journalist, you ask the questions, the person responds with the question, and then you let the viewers determine whether or not it was a good answer or it was a bad answer. I often at times get criticism whenever I do interviews with people, and they say, well, Anton, why didn't you go after this person on this? Or Anton, why didn't you check this person on that? Because as an interviewer and as a journalist in that role with that hat on at that moment, it's different than a Monday night when you're debating against somebody and that's what it is that they're coming in for. When you interviewing somebody, you ask the question and you let them answer it, and your goal is to put them at ease so that they'll be more disclosing, they'll be more inclined to give you the information that you need, and then you let the audience and the people determine whatever it is that they want to determine, and they draw their own conclusions as a result of it. Why are these people so dead set, these women and these reporters and these journalists, so dead set on trying to go after people when they firstly volunteered themselves to even come on the platform to be interviewed and be asked questions in the first place? And Eric Daniels, I need you to do better. I need you to do better, Eric Daniels, because it's not about whether or not this organization does the same thing. If it's wrong, it's wrong, and you call it out across the board. I don't agree with 100% with everything that Fox News does. I don't agree with 100% with everything that CNN does. I gave CNN credit when they actually called the debate fair, and they was very, very fair with how it is that they ask questions or whatever. So you give credit where credit is due. You hold people accountable when it's accountable. But right now, we're talking about NBC's Meet the Press. You can't justify a wrong by saying, well, they do it too. No. Why is this woman in particular doing what she's doing, and she's not doing it as a journalist is supposed to do it, as far as asking the hard questions and then letting the chips fall where they may? I don't agree with 100% of what anybody do. But you don't shift blame and try to justify why somebody else is doing it. You do it the way that you're supposed to do it, and you don't worry about everybody else.
Taking sides on 9/11. Do you agree with that statement?
Well, of course I don't agree with that, Kristen. Now, to be clear, I don't know what RFK actually said there. Maybe there was additional context. Of course, you actually have to see what people say before you agree or disagree with it. I certainly have taken sides in 9/11. I'm the pro-America side. I don't think that we should have been attacked, and I certainly think hitting back against the terrorists was justified. I don't know what RFK said there, but what I do know is that RFK said a lot of very interesting and important things, that the Democratic Party has become too pro-censorship, that the Democratic Party, especially in the wake of COVID, became really anti-freedom and anti-child. I mean, you had Democrats saying that we should be masking toddlers in their schools, even though we knew it caused developmental disabilities. I agree with RFK that that was crazy.
Well, to be fair, there was a lot of information that scientists were grappling with as it came in, and masks were perceived to stop the spread of the disease. Let's move on.
Totally fair.
Why does she always want to move on from something when he starts to address an issue that he's passionate about? No, it's not about let's move on. You can't just keep let's moving on in me.
Move on that I would say on that is there were important leaders. Donald Trump was among them. RFK was among them, who were saying some of this stuff is crazy. And if we had listened to them, I think our kids would have been much better off in the wake of the pandemic.
I mean, scientists did show that masks help to stop the spread of the disease. Let's talk about another big issue.
Disabilities for toddlers, right? We have to be able to balance this stuff. And I think the way that RFK struck that balance was much smarter.
Every single answer that he says, she got to get the last word. I don't think that I'll ever be interviewed by a woman again. I don't know. This is aggravating to me. Every single thing that he says, she got to throw in a jab. She got to throw in her word. She got to throw in her own personal opinion. She is not forcing him to do anything. She continues to try to spin and put in her own narrative in this interview. And this is one of the reasons why you will never see Kamala Harris go into hostile territory, because first of all, she's not prepared to be able to answer questions without a teleprompter automatically telling her what to say. And then secondly, it's always somebody that is trying to throw their own narrative in there, and we're here to see J.D. Vance, not necessarily you. Ms. Welker?
Fortunately, than the way that Kamala Harris did.
Let's talk about another big issue that was talked about at the Democratic National Convention. It's being talked about on the campaign trail, abortion.
Sure.
Democrats made the case this week and beyond this week that Donald Trump, if elected, will impose a federal ban on abortion if he wins. Now, Donald Trump says he won't. But can you commit, Senator, sitting right here with me today, that if you and Donald Trump are elected, that you will not impose a federal ban on abortion?
I can absolutely commit that, Kristen, and Donald Trump has been as clear about that as possible. I think it's important to step back and say, what has Donald Trump actually said on the abortion question, and how is it different from what Kamala Harris and the Democrats have said? Donald Trump wants to end this culture war over this particular topic. If California wants to have a different abortion policy from Ohio, then Ohio has to respect California and California has to respect Ohio. Donald Trump's view is that we want the individual states and their individual cultures and their unique political sensibilities to make these decisions, because we don't want to have a nonstop federal conflict over this issue. The federal government ought to be focused on getting food prices down, getting housing prices down, issues, of course, where Kamala Harris has been a total disaster. So I think Donald Trump is right. We want the federal government to focus on these big economic and immigration questions. Let the states figure out their own abortion policy.
Let me just follow up with you a little bit on that point, because I've been talking to Republicans, including Senator Lindsey Graham just last week, who've made it very clear that if Donald Trump is elected, if you are elected, they will continue to press this point. Senator Graham said to me, I'm going to keep saying that there should be a federal ban. If such a piece of legislation landed on Donald Trump.
Did we not just hear was the question not answered fully? He said, I can absolutely tell you that this is not going to happen. And what we actually are saying is that the feds shouldn't be inside of this conversation in the first place. So no, we are not going to institute a federal ban. California should be doing what they want to do according to the voters. Ohio should do what they want to do. Florida should do what they want to do. Texas should do what they want to do. New York should do what they want to do. Michigan should do what they want to do. He fully answered the question. He answered it, and then he added the context. I can guarantee you during our administration that this will not be an issue. I don't care what other Republicans are pushing for. Why is this something that you continue to ask me about? Because other people may have a difference of opinion that may be in the party, but this is what we're standing on. What the hell is going on in this interview? Honest to God.
Trump's desk. Would he veto it?
Well, I think it'd be very clear he would not support it. I mean, he said that explicitly. Yeah, I mean, if you're not supporting it as the President of the United States, you fundamentally have to veto it.
So he would veto a federal abortion ban?
I think he would. He said that explicitly that he would. And
I don't
again,
think he's ever said explicitly he would. He said that to you?
Lindsey Graham, Kristen, I would be surprised. I mean, again, I need to see the context on what Lindsey Graham said, because Lindsey Graham himself has not advocated a federal abortion ban. Lindsey Graham has advocated a federal minimum standard. Now, to be clear, that is not Donald Trump's view.
This guy is on it. He knows what he's talking about. He knows the context. He's not going to let you just throw a question at him without the addition. You see how he added the context? He said, hold on, wait. Let's be clear. Lindsey Graham didn't even say what you said that they were saying. Lindsey Graham, this is the full context of what Lindsey Graham was saying. And so it's kill him, JD. Kill him, JD. See, this is the stuff that they don't want to actually have a conversation about. Anybody can have a Democratic National Convention speech without any context. Very few people is willing to take the hardball questions from the ops and then give a full context answer that fully addresses what your issues are. That way you're very clear on where we stand on policy. Listen, on this policy with regard to abortions that they continue to beat y'all over the head with, and they come in with this false information and saying, if Donald Trump is president, this is what Kamala Harris said, he's going to enact a federal ban on abortion. Miss, why you lying? Why you always lying? Why you lying on me? That's not what I said. If Donald Trump is president, Stop. That's not what I said.
Disagrees with Lindsey Graham on this, but no Republican, at least no Republican with any reasonable power, is saying that we should have a complete national abortion ban. I haven't heard that from any of my colleagues. And to be clear, Donald Trump, I think, has staked his position and made it very explicit. He wants this to be a state decision. States are going to make this determination themselves.
All right, let's talk about women voters more broadly. The Census Bureau estimates there are 22 million women between the ages of 20 and 40 who, for whatever reason, do not have children. What do you say to those women who hear some of your comments, including the childless cat lady comments, which you've been asked about, but who feel as though you won't represent them?
Well, I'd say, first of all, I will represent you. I want to be the vice president for the whole country, and I want to represent everybody. And yes, I made a sarcastic comment years ago that I think that a lot of Democrats have willfully misinterpreted. But what I've simply said is that I think that it's really a profound change that's happened in our country where we become anti-family, and I would like to change that. And I think if you talk to young women, whether they have children or don't want to have children, what you consistently hear is that a lot of young women feel like they don't have options. I saw this with my own wife, who's a working mother, who's a very, very accomplished litigator. She has 3 beautiful kids and always felt like she was having to balance being a good mom with being the kind of litigator that she wanted to be. I just want women to have more choices. I've seen that very personally in my own family, and I think it's something that is broken about our country.
I'm trying to interrupt
Let me zoom out a little bit. Then you're calling it a sarcastic comment,
sure,
and yet some women, and you got the feedback in real time,
I'm gonna read that super
felt
chat
like
shortly.
it was a gut punch to them personally. Do you regret making that comment?
Look, I regret certainly that a lot of people took it the wrong way, and I certainly regret that the DNC and Kamala Harris lied about it.
But do you regret what you said, Senator?
Look, Kristen, I'm going to say things from time to time that people disagree with. I'm a real person. I'm going to make jokes. I'm going to say things sarcastically, and I think that what's important is that we focus on the policy. There are certainly going to be things that I say, if I'm elected vice president, that people are going to say, well, I wish he had said that differently. I think it's most important to actually be the person I actually am and to say, Those sarcastic comments were made in the service of a real substantive point. This country has become too anti-family. It's too expensive to afford a house. It's too expensive to afford groceries. Donald Trump and I want to change that. And unless we get better leadership, we're not going to.
But again, just very quickly, given that people have told you directly, have spoken out, have said that they were offended, they were hurt by those comments, do you wish you never made those childless cat lady comments?
I think that it's much more important for me to just be a normal human being who sometimes says things that people disagree with. I have a lot of regrets, Kristen, but making a joke 3 years ago is not at the top 10 of the list.
All right, another big topic in this race is immigration. There has been a lot of discussion.
Did they say racist immigration? Let me back that up real quick.
In the list.
All right, another big topic in this race is immigration.
Oh, and this race is immigration. Got it.
There's been a lot of discussion about Donald Trump's plans for mass deportation.
Yeah.
According to one estimate, more than 11 million U.S. citizens live in households with mixed immigration status, including more than 5 million children. If you and former President Trump were elected, would you separate families as a part of your mass deportation effort?
Well, we have to start with the foundation.
Would you separate families? Is that what she just said?
Issue here, which is we have 25 million illegal aliens in this country right now because Kamala Harris has refused to do her job.
Very quickly, DHS says it's much lower. It's closer to 8 million.
I don't know.
Where do you get the 25 million from?
Well, I think the 25 million are the people that should have been deported that maybe weren't deported. Plus, you had another 12 to 15 million that have come in since Kamala Harris. Look,
DHS
whatever the number is,
that number for the record. They say it's closer to 8 to 10 million.
But I think there are reasons to think that DHS is underestimating. Whatever the real number is, it's way too high, right? It's millions upon millions of illegal immigrants that have come in just since Kamala Harris became the borders.
Is she caping for Kamala? Is her and Kamala friends? Can somebody go and check the record and see if they actually related or if they got some kind of, they father, what, stepdad, cousins, distant cousins, third cousins? Somebody tell me.
Bizarre a few years ago.
She was put in charge of the root causes of migration.
Well, the root causes of migration, I would say, Kristen, is that Kamala Harris refuses to do her job as borders are. And let's just start there. I want to answer your question, but I think it's important to sort of sequence this in the right way. So if you want to get control of the illegal immigration problem, you have to stop the bleeding. You have to stop so many people from coming here illegally in the first place. And that means undoing everything that Kamala Harris did practically on day one of the administration. You have to reimpose deportations. You have to stop catch and release. Stop granting asylum to every single person who comes in here and says that they need asylum, and stop granting mass parole. These policies are why we have the immigration crisis that we have. So I think focus on fixing the problem. Before we even fix the problem, we've got to stop the problem from getting worse.
And as you know, President Biden passed a series of executive actions, and illegal border crossings are now at their lowest levels in about 5 years, so much so that Greg...
Over the last 2 months. Let me add the additional context. See, I'm very well versed on this. Over the last 2 months since June, we actually addressed this on Friday, or was it Thursday? Since June, right? Since June, they've had their lowest levels of illegal border crossings that's been recorded since the administration took office in 2021 in January. Let me say that again for the people in the back, because just because her eyes is big and she got on a lot of makeup, don't mean that it's not exactly the way that we framing it. Since June, 2 months ago. So they've recorded illegal immigration over the last 2 months, and they're saying, hey, it's at its lowest levels now. It's at its lowest levels now. Wait a minute. Let's add some additional context into that. I thought that y'all couldn't stop illegal immigration into this country unless y'all had a bipartisan deal. I thought that bipartisan deals and agreements, because y'all was blaming Trump for actually stopping the bipartisan agreement, and y'all said out of your own mouth that it was a bipartisan deal that we needed to stop. Okay, so wait a minute. So just over the last 2 months since we in election season, y'all decided to stop it from coming over the border, but y'all could have did that the last 3.5 years. Interesting.
Abbott is no longer busing people to other cities. But let me ask you this fundamental question,
please.
Senator. Fundamental question. Will families be separated under your mass deportation?
And again, because you made a point here, I do want to answer this question about families and about deportations, but you made this point that border crossings are lower. border crossings at the southern border are lower because the Harris administration is sending more immigrants through the ports of entry. So instead of coming through the southern border, they're now being flown at taxpayer expense to the ports of entry all over our country.
I didn't know that part. Thank you, JD. Let me give JD a round of applause. That boy is a master with the word. That boy is a master with the wordsmith game.
Number of illegal crossings, Chris, and this is a really important point, they're not any lower. They're just shuffling how the people are coming into the country in the first place. And this is very important.
They're able to process them more efficiently, but Greg Abbott's not setting them to other
Kristen,
states.
I don't want a border czar who makes it more efficient for illegal immigrants to come into this country. That's why we have the problem that we have.
Senator, to this question, because so many people want to know the answer to this, will families be separated under your mass deportation policy?
I think that families are currently being separated, and you're...
Hold on, we're not just going to skip the fact that they just juked the numbers on us. Hold on. Did they just do the same thing that Chicago be doing? Oh, no, actually recorded crime is down. No, the way that you shuffling the numbers around because you have less people responding and putting in the numbers, that's why it seemed like the crime is down. You just not reporting it as the same way. They coming in, they doing the crime the same way. You just reclassified the crime as something else. Oh, that's not a violent crime. That is now a simple crime. We've reclassified the way that we document what crime is, and they didn't catch that one over there, so we never responded to that, so we just can't juke the books. Come on, man. Come on, bro. Let them answer this question, and we're going to move on.
Certainly going to have to deport some people in this country. Now, I think you
So
start
that's a yes?
I think you start with the most violent criminals in our country. Those people need to be deported. That's where you focus federal resources. I think you, of course, have a number of children who are currently living with drug cartel members, not actually their families. We need to, of course, find their families and get them back to their families. But it's very interesting here because what Kamala Harris says is that Donald Trump wants to separate families. Kamala Harris's policies have led to thousands upon thousands of migrant children living with sex traffickers and drug cartels. That is the consequence of her policies.
But there's not a...
Talk to him. I don't want to hear no more from this lady. She aggravate me. She aggravate my skin. She make my skin crawl. Keep on doing this. But she married, what's her name? Kristen Walker? Let me just see something. No way she can be in a relationship. No way she can be in a relationship. I just got to know. Kristen Walker. She is married. She's been married since John Hughes. Oh, she married to a white man. Is that her? Oh. Well, one thing that we don't do, I just wanted to find out if she was married in general. The one thing that we don't do is we don't talk about spouses. We don't talk about spouses. We don't go into children. He's not a part of this live stream, but we definitely just wanted to find out. We wanted to find out what was going on. So shout out to her. Shout out to that. Very, very, very combative woman. Very, very combative woman. Let me read some of these super chats and then we're going to go ahead and get into the show. We're going to get into the thick of things for real. Mr. Daniels, how can we watch the video that dropped yesterday, the Bag Chasers video? The link is guiding me to the Discord. What link? The video is the actual, you just hit play. If you are on a tier, okay, I made it available to everybody. But then when I put up the re-record, I made the live stream available for everybody. You got to be on a tier. If you are getting into the Patreon, you have to be on a tier. Once you are on a tier, you just hit play and it'll go straight up and it'll just play right there on the video. The link to the Discord is in the description of any of the most recent videos, right? Or it's in the description of any of the most recent videos that takes you to the Discord that is supportive of what it is that we do inside of the Patreon. But the video is there for you to play right then and there. Somebody in the chat help him out. Shout out to Rod. Somebody help Rod out. Shout out to Rod. Viper Venom says, the RBF on ABC chick is scary. She definitely a SBM. I am Anton is not a single baby mama. All right, so let me see if the RBF, the Republican black female, feminist on ABC Chick is scary. She definitely a single black female. I was able to get the SBM together, but shout out to you. Oh, shoot, I dropped one by mistake. Hold on. Let me get my dog. I don't want to forget my dog. Philip Sadiq is in the building, says, Welker hosted a debate between Trump and Biden. Of course, she ran defense for Biden. Shout out to you. I appreciate you. David Simpson Jr. says, the chicken tax, 25% tariff on incoming truck-based vehicles, is still in place. The only reason the Detroit Big Three still have a stranglehold on trucks. Shout out to that. Chris Monroe, STL, says, they never asked Democrats any tough questions. They're on that Steve Harvey code. Liberal media is a mess. She has to correct J.D. Vance on every single answer. J-Dub says, this lady is so biased and it shows. Where are the questions on immigration, digital infrastructure, China and Taiwan? This is exhausting. Captain Skid Marks says, okay, every de-election, Lindsey Graham tries to tank the election with talk of ban on abortion. She's working for the ops. Shout out to the ops. Shout out to my dog, Victor Williams. Victor Williams says J.D. Vance is cooking her, and the clowns in the chat, like Eric Daniels, refuse to see it and rather live in delusion. It is amazing that these people walk among us voting for our downfall across the board. Ooh, shots fired. Chat lives matters. Max Julian in the building says RFK is a hero. FDA approved lab-grown chicken in 2022. Kamala Harris is talking price control of groceries. I hope you Kamala voters wake up and vote Trump. Mr. Joe is in the building, says, good morning, AD. The problem is that modern-day journalists approach conversations as debates instead of getting further insight. That's true. Glenn Bronner says, let me get my dog Glenn up here. Glenn Bronner says, I wanted to say good morning, AD, in the chat. Your focus helped me focus. In 7 months, I paid off $12,000 in debt and got my family member a job working with me. Thank you, AD, and the Bag Chasers for life. If y'all not a part of the Bag Chasers, the link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Make sure you rock out with a group of people that really got your best interest at heart. Tack Smith in the building says, families get separated because when you imprison illegals, you can't also put the child in jail with the adults. We already know this. Yeah, I don't have no sympathy for people that's doing stuff illegally. That's what happens. He looks like Winnie the Pooh. I don't know what that means. Jerry Early says, thank you, Anton. Big Island, Hawaii, and raining like hell over here. Should I come to Hawaii in the wintertime, y'all? Y'all let me know what y'all think. Anyways, make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications. We going into the second half of the show. I told y'all that I'm going to keep y'all up to date on what's going on in the streets. Undecided voters. Let's talk about undecided voters, ladies and gentlemen. Undecided voters. Thank you, CL Jacob. I appreciate you. Undecided voters are basically saying, or at least CNN interviewed a bunch of undecided voters, that after they heard Kamala Harris's speech at the Democratic National Convention, they said, you know what? We voted for Cam. You know what? We voting for Cam. And so I haven't seen this video, but I definitely seen the video for it. So I saved it in my algorithm in order for me to be able to review this thing authentically. And I wanted to know, because I'm always looking for the context. I seen a black guy over the weekend, and I did a review video to him. I seen a black guy over the weekend, and he said, oh my God, Kamala Harris, she swayed me with her speech to vote for her. And so I was listening for the context, and he was absolutely wrong as far as the understanding as to why it is that he's voting for her, because he had bad information. So I said, you know what? Let me go and re-review this video because I want to know the impact of such an amazing speech. The impact of such an amazing speech of people that say that they were undecided and why they decided to go with Kamala Harris in the first place. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's get into it.
Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris portraying herself as an underdog candidate and a fighter. She addressed her party's convention on this closing night here in Chicago. Right now we're getting reaction to the vice president's speech from some undecided voters in the crucial battleground of Pennsylvania. Seeing as Gary Tuckman is in Allentown. So Gary, who's with you and what are they saying about the speech?
Well, Anderson, we do come to you from Allentown in the heart of the beautiful Lehigh Valley in eastern Pennsylvania. And we are with 8 residents of the Lehigh Valley who've been watching television with us tonight and watching Kamala Harris's speech. I do want to say they all have something in common. As you said, Anderson, none of these people before tonight have made a decision about who they will vote for in November. And at least one person here before tonight wasn't sure she was going to vote at all because she...
Cap. Cap, listen. You're not going to fool me. You're not going to pour the wool over my eyes, and you're not going to cap in front of my face. I don't for 1 second believe that every last one of those people that is in that room right now, my spidey senses is tingling. I'm just going to tell y'all the truth. My spidey senses is on 10. My spidey senses is on 10. There's no way that you're going to sit here and tell me that every single person in that room didn't know who they was going to vote for and that they was listening at the Democratic National Convention to find out whether or not they was going to vote for this person. Let's play along like we don't know what's going on, y'all.
Isn't like either of the candidates. Also, what they have in common, 5 of these people, they are all 5 of them loyal union members from the UAW local.
Oh, we already know what that means.
Here in the Lehigh Valley. So thank you all for being here.
We already know what that is.
First thing I want to ask you, I want you to grade the speech, okay? A is excellent, B above average, C average, D below average. We all know what F is. Let's start with you. How do you grade the speech?
I gave her a B+.
B.
B+.
A.
B+. A.
A.
C.
C. So mostly A's and B's with 1 C. I want to ask you why you made the decision you made. First of all, we start with Scott, who is the president of the UAW local here in the Lehigh Valley.
Oh, we already know what he is. That's Sean Fain's disciple. Sean Fain has already endorsed Biden and then Harris because he's going to go after corporate greed, and then we got to come on.
Scott, what grade did you give it again?
B+.
How come?
I gave her the high grade because I thought she looked very confident. I liked how she spoke from her heart. I liked her message of unity and the division that we have in America. I like her fight for the middle class and families. The reason I didn't give her an A was I thought she needed to go into a little more detail on some of her plans, of how she would, do some of the things that she envisioned.
Okay, Lindsay, you're in sales. You're the person who wasn't sure she was going to vote for anybody because you don't like either of these 2 candidates. I'll ask you more about that in a minute, but first, what grade did you give the speech?
I gave it a B.
How come?
I thought it was a good speech. I mean, she did what she was supposed to do. I liked that she was talked about her upbringing, made it feel a little more personal. But yeah, I thought it was a good speech.
Okay, Andy, you're also with the UAW. You make cars and trucks for us Americans, so thank you for that, along with the rest of you. Your grade again was?
B+.
And how come B+?
I liked her planning for the middle class. Like my wife's a nurse. I'm an auto worker. I'm as middle class as you can get. I just felt like she should go a little more in depth. But I guess I understand you can't really go as in depth in these speeches. But a little bit more would have been nice.
Okay, Donna is your mother.
Yes.
Donna's a retired dental hygienist. Donna, what grade did you give it again?
I gave her an A.
And how come an A?
Because
all of these white men, honestly, I have such a huge disappointment in white men. It's unreal. I do. I think that white men, in a general sense, is really responsible for the downfall of the environment that they created. That's the funniest part about it is that the society that we live in today is basically handcrafted by, and I know that I can't hold men accountable for the things that their ancestors did, but largely they've created the economy and the capitalism, and they set forth the standards by which we live our lives today. It's just the facts. It's just the reality of what it is. It is what it is. And I am so disappointed in this generation of white men, and the boomers and the Xers and the millennials, Gen Z, they all sassy. Most of the younger white guys that I see, not all, but most of the younger white guys that I see, they are all sassy. Take it to mean what you want them to mean. They got pink hair, and it ain't because they rock stars, it's because they sassy. They sassy. It's just the real. And I'm amazed. I'm amazed at the amount of simping and the feminist movement that has affected their minds, and a happy wife, happy life. And I think that white men are some of the biggest supporters of Kamala Harris in America, in the world. Honest to God. Seriously. And this woman looks like, you know what she looked like? She looked like the mad scientist. Hold on, I'm going to show you. I think her name was Edna. Edna on The Incredibles. All I'm getting is Edna from The Incredibles with this lady. Literally, same glasses and everything. So Edna from The Incredibles. Incredibles is one of my favorite cartoon movies. I was watching The Incredibles in the back of a minivan on my way to Cedar Point one day. And I said, man, this movie is incredible. The Incredibles is incredible. Edna right here. I'm sorry, y'all. We go off script. This is what we do on the Millionaire Morning Show. Edna right here is going to tell us what grade... what grade she gave Kamala Harris and why, sitting next to her son. Okay, sitting next to her son. Let's see, my eyes ain't that. Y'all keep trying to say, Anton, your eyes ain't the greatest. No, my eyes is good. It's just that lady had a little bit of makeup on it. I'm going to take my L. But I know what I know. I see what I see.
All the points that I wanted to know about. I wanted to know more about her economic policies, her foreign policy. I know she couldn't go into depth about that, but I mean, I felt that she looked very presidential. She sounded presidential, and I think she's going to be a unifier.
Yeah, by the way, going into tonight, Andy was 60-40 with Kamala Harris. Yes. You were 50-50, which is interesting. We'll talk more about that in a second.
Cap.
Patrick, also with the UAW. The grade you gave it again?
A B+.
How come B+?
And we know that black men, all these older black men, older. Let me tell you something about older black men. Older black men will do anything for women. They will do they will sell their souls. They will crawl on their knees. They will be whatever it is, whatever they can do in order to get the affection of a woman. Older black men and white men are the bane of our existence and the reason that we in this situation that we in the first place.
Well, she was very confident in what she was saying. She showed leadership ability and understanding of the topics at hand. But again, she didn't go in depth. I did like what she said
answers
about
from
what
the other guy.
To do for the middle class, about a tax break for us, which will be very nice, but still a little bit more information on some of the things that she's planning on doing.
Sean, also with the UAW. The grade you gave it again?
I gave her an A.
How come?
I was looking for
another snow hair in the building.
Policy information. I really wanted to see some substantive policy information. And I thought she did give enough. I like what she gave on military, what she wants to do for our veterans, and with border control. I just think that she has a lot of good ideas, and she's very well spoken. I think she was very professional.
Sabrina is your daughter and also a UAW member, helping to make cars and trucks.
What is up with all of these UAW members?
For America. Yeah. Your grade again?
A.
How come an A?
I think she was very well spoken. She was very clear on what her policies were and elaborated on them with the time given, and the fact
Does
that
anybody watch the same
wants
speech
to
as
bring
me?
back rights for women.
And Brian, you're in real estate. You're a nice guy too, like everyone in this panel, and you gave the only C. How come you gave a C?
She wasn't clear enough on the policies. She did speak a lot of her personal history, which was great, but I still don't feel like she's ready. I feel like more so she should wait. I don't want to, per se, vote for someone that is a backup.
All right, well, but I'm going to ask you shortly. You're obviously not ready to vote for Kamala Harris,
Right.
I'm sure about that.
Right.
But what I want to ask all of you all together at this point, like I said, none of you were ready to make a commitment to any candidate in November. Please raise your hand right now if you're now ready to make a commitment after today. Wow. I'm just kind of surprised about it. We haven't rehearsed this. I'm going to make that very clear. They will attest to this. 7 of you are now ready. Scott?
Yes, I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris.
Andy?
Yeah, Kamala Harris, yes.
Donna?
Yes, I'm voting for her also.
Sean? Sean?
Yes, Kamala.
Sabrina?
Carmela.
Patrick?
She don't even know her name. Kamala.
Kamala.
Brian?
Trump.
Trump. And finally,
The only saving grace, and he the youngest person there, looked like outside of the other women. He the youngest man there, and he the only saving. Shout out to the black man for Trump. Shout out to the black man for Trump. Shout it out, because we can't depend on these older dudes. These older dudes and these snow hairs, we can't depend on them no more. They done already let us into the mire, and they letting their emotions get the best of them. These older white men and these older black men are the worst of us. They the worst. They the worst of the worst. They already came in with their mind made up in the first place. They capping.
Lindsay?
Still probably not voting.
Still probably you don't like either of them.
Nope.
Okay. What led to you all making a decision? Was it that decisive of an evening, Scott?
Yeah, I
just
really,
wanted to be on TV.
as I said before, I really liked her confidence. She's really seemed presidential. She seemed very confident. Like I said, she spoke from her heart. I liked how she filled you in on her background, that she struggled, her mother struggled,
All right.
middle-class family.
And Donna, you were 50-50
Yeah.
going into the evening. What made you make a decision?
Well, I've been doing research since she was, the nominee, and I like what I'm reading. And here I've been watching the convention, and her speech was just, that just sold me.
And Brian, you decided on Trump. What about tonight? Because when we met last week, you were undecided. What about tonight made you decide you were going to vote for Trump?
Her speech was great. I like how she went into personal history again. It was just not moving for me.
But it made you think that Trump's a better candidate than her.
He's here for it. He's a little bit more aggressive. She's aggressive in her way, but I think she'll be aggressive in the next term.
So Trump over Harris for you, Harris over Trump for most of you. What I will tell you, 75 days now until Election Day. So Lindsay, you have a few more nights to sleep on it. Thank you all for coming and joining.
So there you have it. That is what CNN is saying, that the undecided voters, which the overwhelming majority of them actually work for the UAW and the auto manufacturing sector, which Trump helped save. Most of them work there. I know that there are some UAW members in the steel industry and stuff like that and suppliers. But these people, these older gentlemen in Aetna over there is basically saying that they are voting for Kamala Harris, and because she was swaying them with her Democratic National Convention speech, that is one of the reasons why they are now swinging into Kamala Harris's camp. Let me go ahead and, should I do a poll? Okay, I'm going to do my own poll. I'm going to do my own poll to find out exactly how you guys are voting. Give me a second. I'm going to set it up right now. I'm about to do a poll. I'm doing my own poll. And I'm going to put Kamala Harris at the top. Because I think I got the most accurate poll that you can do. All right, poll is up there. The stroll to the poll is up there. Y'all vote. Who are you voting for in election 2024? This is a more accurate view of what America really wants. And so I'm going to read these super chats, and then I'm going to tell y'all what the polls say afterwards. C.L. Jacob says she's like raisins, and she likes raisins in her potato salad too. Not the raisins in a potato salad. No. No excuse lifestyle. Rocky Cage says, what up, AD? To be honest, J.D. Vance way better than Mike Pence, in my opinion. The interviewer just basically proved to me how much she's in favor of Kamala. Salute to you, brother. Shout out to you. I appreciate you, my friend. Fantasy Island Gal says, the only one to say he's voting for Trump is a black guy in the top right corner. Everyone else is voting blue or not voting. That's a fact. That's true. Aaron L. is in the building, says, No matter who you want to vote for, let's be clear, no presidential candidate has ever spoken from the heart. Let's be real. Shout out to Aaron L. I appreciate you. Fantasy Island Girl with a couple more says, picking on her looks won't make Trump win. Fantasy Island Girl says, if Kamala has white men, older black men, white women, black women, union workers, and vets, it sounds like it's a clear W coming in November. I don't think so. Not as much as you think so. Because I think that the older people, they aging out. But that's a good argument. I like that. Darren Jones says, just high-fiving an agreement these old ninjas would do anything for the posse. That's a fact. Chris Monroe, STO, is in the building, says, she spoke from her heart, correction, a teleprompter. I thought it was a good speech, objectively saying. Brian said nothing. Matt Baller 24 says, AD, RFK Jr. getting the same treatment as Ice Cube got with the platinum plan from black people from the Democratic Party with the middle finger, shaking my head. Shout out to you. Aaron L says, did you see when they interviewed black men? Nope, I didn't see it. Send it to me. Jay Hunter Lee says these men have low T levels. Divine Roberson says knee back chasers. Where should I start? Start at the beginning of the first stock club at the beginning of the year, or you could just watch the one from yesterday and then go back to that. Shout out to you. And then Aaron Good says they say men that vote conservative tend to have higher testosterone levels. I don't know how true that is, but I'm gonna take your word for it. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. All right, let me check my poll and see what's happening out here. According to my stats, with over 700 votes in less than 2 minutes, Donald J. Trump is winning at a 96% clip versus a 4% clip for Kamala Harris. Let me get a round of applause for the people in the chat. With over 700 votes in less than 2 minutes, it's a 96% to 4 clip. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat that participated in the poll. All I got to do is just put the numbers up, baby. Shout out to my poll, because the other poll is a little different. You know what I'm saying? So make sure that every last one of y'all that say that y'all rocking with red, make sure y'all get to the polls and make sure y'all an informed voter. Shout out to everybody that's in here in the streets. All right, let's continue on. So, where we at with this one? Oh, Grant Cardone. Let's spend 10 minutes on this. Grant Cardone had some comments, and I have not watched this video either yet, but Grant Cardone had an opinion on how capital gains taxes is ultimately going to kill housing, which is some of the biggest talking points that she had, not only at the Democratic National Convention, but at a lot of her rally speeches. And I thought that it would be good to hear from somebody that is truly in real estate. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications. If you're not a part of the Patreon, the link is in the description for the bag chasers. Let's get it.
Hey, big heads up for all you guys out there that have heard about Kamala Harris's capital gains tax and proposal to raise unrealized gains by 25%, up to 25%. Look, this is not political. I'm just giving you some information about your finances and your money. If you're in housing or you own stocks, this will destroy the middle class. Absolutely. I don't know what's going on with their administration, why they're coming up with some of these proposals, or if they even expect to really try to push them through or not. I don't know. I can tell you this as somebody that's studied tax. I have an accounting degree. I've studied tax. I've been investing in real estate and doing my best, proudly to say, to reduce my federal tax bill every year. I don't mind paying local taxes. I hate paying federal taxes. So if you are in real estate, you hate paying the IRS, you own a home, your mom, your grandmother own a home and they got equity, or you're a real estate agent or a broker or investor, I'm just going to tell you how this affects everybody, okay? Again, this is not Democrat, Republican, or whatever. So I know a lot of you guys out there hate Donald Trump. But do you hate him so much that you would pay $200,000 extra to the federal government to sell your house? Like this election, you guys really need to look at your money and your finances. America's at a critical point. We're probably in more economic trouble than I've ever seen this country in my lifetime. I'm 66 years old, so I've seen a few cycles now. And again, this is not me trying to get you to vote for anybody, but people should take a better look at their finances. If she pulls this off and can increase the capital gains, I just did some math here so you know what it is. The average home in America is $440,000. You would have to increase the price of that home 50% by $208,000, almost a full 50%. Would have to go from $440,000 to $648,000 for you to make the same amount of money. So you would have to take your house that's $440,000, average price of a home in this country is $440,000, and they would immediately all go to $648,000 if every seller said, I want to make a certain amount of money on my house. Why? Because I've been investing in this house my whole life. It's the only investment I have. I'm ready to retire and I want to make my profit, and I don't want to share half of it with the government. It's not fair to somebody that just sold yesterday and didn't have this capital gains problem. By the way, they just passed this in Canada. It wasn't 45% capital gains, so it was 64%.
For all of the people that live in Canada, y'all give me some insight on what the hell is happening in Canada. Is Canada taxing like that? You know me, I got to do my research. Canada is taxing like that? Hold on. I did not know that that's true. Why would anybody live in Canada? Why would anybody in their right minds live in Canada? I'm just curious. I'm genuinely curious. Why would anybody live in Canada? Currently, you pay tax on 50% of your capital gains no matter what your total gains are. That's half. That's half. As of June 2025, 2024, June 25th, 2024, however, you will be taxed on 50% of your annual capital gains up to $250,000. For any capital gains over $250,000, that ratio increased to 2/3 or approximately 66.7. Ooh. Oh. They are taking 2/3. They will take 2/3. You only get to keep 1/3 of what you've actually worked for and profited. And so you took all of the risks. They get all of the rewards. Why would Canadians vote this in? Why would Canadians vote this? Why would Canadians do this to themselves? Oh my God, Jesus. Well, we can cross Canada off the list. I don't know why Drake is over there. Drake needs to excommunicate himself from there. I don't know why anybody would go over there. I don't know why anybody, nobody, and I mean nobody should be over in Canada with the capital gains taxes that they over there instilling on y'all. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. That's crazy. That is insane. That is insane. And if we are going the same way, I'm already plotting my escape. I ain't even going to cap.
So this can happen in this country, and they're threatening to do it. Okay, now this is what happens. If they pull this off, the average home goes from $440,000, you real estate agents, real estate brokers, and investors, and immediately the price of that house, if they're a builder, a seller, they've owned a house for a while, and they want to sell their house, they're going to take that up to $648,000. Well, the average mortgage in this country today is unaffordable for most families. We have the lowest mortgage applications since 1996. 30 years ago, we had 70 million fewer people that lived in America. Not counting the illegal immigrants, probably 11 to 15 million illegals that they're proposing in California. This is how crazy this is getting. California is proposing that they give 2 million illegal immigrants no money down loans on a home, and they won't give that to you guys in California. Okay? So let me just stay on track here. First, the price of the home goes up $248,000. Second, rich people that own a home be like, fucking, I ain't gonna sell my house. I'll just keep it and turn it into a rental. Third, the people that want to buy a house don't have to pay $440,000 anymore. They're gonna have to pay $640,000, and their mortgage is gonna go from $3,000. We can't even get anybody approved on a mortgage today. Okay, the mortgage goes from $3,000 to $4,300 overnight before HOA, before property taxes, before maintenance. Okay, before.
How many times can you tax a dollar? I think a lot of people need a basic finance course before they can truly understand what's happening. Before you guys sign up to do something that's not going to be in your best interest. Let me break it down for you. Okay, so let's say you go to work every day and you're a W-2 employee, like most of us are, and you get taxes taken out of your check, right? So depending on how much money you make, that is the determining factor for how much you get taken out in taxes. But either way, that dollar gets taxed. It gets taxed. Whatever the rate is, the dollar gets taxed. And then the dollar is distributed to Ukraine, is given to some single baby mama that don't want to go to work every day. Whatever it is, it's going to get taxed, okay? So that dollar gets taxed. And then you take the rest of the dollar that's left and you go grocery shopping and you pay 6% sales tax on that. And you may pay a tax or a fee on this and that, depending on what it is that you're going, okay? And then the rest of what's left from that gets invested, right, into the market or real estate because you're paying your mortgage and you're paying all of this. And then if you make any money off of the money that was already taxed that's reinvested in whatever it is that you're trying to go to, that then gets taxed again. Ultimately, all of the money goes back to the federal government. Everything that you're doing, you're basically paying for the privilege of living in America because the dollar continuously gets taxed until all of it comes back into the federal government to obviously then control how it is that you spend your money on a regular basis. I don't think y'all really paying attention to what I'm saying here. The dollar is going to continuously get retaxed and retaxed and retaxed until eventually it all goes to the federal government, which then keeps you enslaved and allows for you to keep working, which is one of the reasons no matter how much money you make, you're always feeling like you're behind. The only time that they give us a tax break is when they incentivizing us to put more money in the economy by spending money, which is one of the reasons why we get write-offs. So that they can what? Make more money in taxes.
PMI, is it PMI? Yeah, PMI, which is a 2% charge on your loan amount by the banks to insure their mortgage that they gave you. Your down payment goes up, your payment goes up, your interest payment goes up, your taxes on the property go up. And when you sell it, let's say one day you want to make, let's say you bought the house for $648, held on to it, and you get to sell it for $1,048,000, your $400,000, this is the worst part of it. Your $400,000 profit that you finally made on this house, maybe paid the house off, and then 20 years from now, you go to sell the house to make your profit, half of that's going to go to the federal government.
And that's highway robbery, in my opinion. That is diabolical, and it is straight up stone cold highway robbery. You make all of this investment into this house, which is not even written off as a tax expense. Remember, and this is why you can't look at the house that you live in as an investment. A lot of people store the wealth in it. A lot of people truly don't understand it. But to just break it down very simply from a C student's perspective, and this is some of the stuff that I want to break down to y'all as far as how you should look at real estate as an investment. You can't look at the home that you live in as an investment. Let me say it again for the people in the back. You don't get it. If you're not a part of the Patreon, if you're not a part of Stock Club, then you ultimately going to miss out what's going on when I'm starting to go into this. You cannot look at the house that you live in as an investment. You can't. It's impossible because the equity that you then gain into the house, you're ultimately going to be paying capital gains taxes on it, but you're not able to write off the expenses that go along with it. So in a traditional business, I'm going to just do it real simple for y'all. In a traditional business, let's say I go and open up a brick and mortar store or a brick and mortar restaurant. Everything that's associated with that is an expense which is written off as a business expense. So let's say, for example, I go and open up this store. I got $100,000. I spent $100,000 on that store, but my store ultimately makes $110,000 total. That means that I only have to pay taxes on $10,000 because I invested $100,000 and it cost me $100,000 in expenses. On a very basic level, if I invest $100,000 or I got expenses of $100,000 and then I make $110,000, that's my gross margins, you have to subtract 100. They can only tax me on 10. And that's where the write-offs come from. I'm incentivized to invest in my business, to have more employees, to buy company cars, to, go and take this flight in order to secure more business over here or whatever. Whatever the business expense that's tied to your business in particular. I am a content creator. So when I go and buy a new camera, that is a business expense. When I get this iPad Pro that I'm writing all of my notes on, when I get this new soundboard and I get more microphones and, I get this Stream Deck and I get a new computer and all of the rent that's associated with this business, this is what it takes in order for me to run this business, which means that the money that I get has to subtract from that. When I go and take a flight and I create content in Miami and I want to go and do some content, I'll do a Patreon meetup over there. I have to write off the total cost of it because it is 100% a business expense. My security that I bring with me when I'm going out of town, my assistants that I bring with me when I'm going out of town, all of these things are business expenses. My editor that I pay for, these lights that I have, anything that's associated with making sure that the business runs, I can write it off as a business expense. I'm incentivized to do so. Why am I incentivized to do so? Because A, it helps me make more money, which ultimately the government wants more taxes and they want more money circulating inside of the economy. And then B, it reduces my taxes. So if I make $100,000, but I have $88,000 in expenses, I only have to pay taxes on $12,000. Conversely, when you go to work every day and you go and get your W-2, by default, you automatically get money taken out of your taxes. So when we say that it's important for you to open up a business, this is the reason why. This is how the rich ultimately make more money, because they don't care about how much money they make. They care about their net worth. The value of my business, the value of my investments, the value of my real estate is what substantiates what it is that I make when it comes to, or what it is that my wealth really is. People that have resources don't care about what they make. It's not about what you take. It's about what your net worth is. Your net worth substantiates what value you have, because I can ultimately borrow against that. When I borrow money against it, then what happens is I don't have to pay the taxes on the money that I borrow. I'm not going to give y'all a masterclass today. I'm just going to give y'all the general idea of why this makes sense for business owners. Conversely, when you go to work every day and you get taxes taken out of your paycheck, you won't be able to live the life that I live because you don't have the same expenses that I have that's associated with my business. So what you do is when you start to kill small businesses, or you start to kill businesses in general, what they do is they take their money overseas and they go and invest it in other places. Why? Because it's no longer conducive, and I no longer have incentives to do business inside of America. So when you see these democratic policies, all they're doing is killing the middle class, and they're killing America, and they're killing the incentive for me to be able to offer somebody else a high-paying job. That's why you see Oakland dead. That's why you see Chicago fumbling. That's why you see all of this money going into things that's not going to be conducive for the environment. So when I'm breaking this down for you guys, I'm giving it to you from real life experience, and I try to break it down from a C-student's perspective, which is why you need to be an informed voter. If you are not financially literate, and I'm not just talking about you doing your budget every day, if you're not financially literate, what Trump's tax cuts, for example, did, right? Because a lot of people say he's giving it to his rich buddies. No, he gave it to them. So what he did was he incentivized companies to stop doing business and keeping profits overseas, bring it back to the Americas. Then it be taxed at a lower tax rate, and they can incentivize each other by creating more American jobs. That's why you had record job growth during the Trump administration and more businesses building factories here in the United States of America, because he understands partnerships instead of trying to tax your way to death. That will never be a way to be able to keep wealth within America. And what they're basically trying to propose to you on the Democratic side is additional taxes, and they think that they're going to tax their way out of their problems when they over there giving $165 million permanent housing to homeless people over there in California to the tune of $600,000 per unit. And so if I work my whole life and y'all go and y'all do these houses, let's go back to the original masterclass, right? Real estate. You go in and you can't look at your house as an investment because you don't have the same incentives to invest in your house, and you cannot write off the same things. I can write off all of these things from my business. If I have a real estate property as an investment because I don't live in it and I rent it out, everything that's associated with that property is written off as a business expense. Conversely, you that live in your house, you're not writing off the maintenance and the updates and the upkeep and the roof and the property taxes and the PMI and all of the stuff that y'all being taxed on. So you're not truly looking at it as a business investment. You're looking at it as a home that you live in. When you go to sell that home, you're not profiting because A, you already paid for that home 3 times over, and the interest alone and what it is that you're giving over to the banks. B, you're not taking into consideration the upgrade and the upkeep of the home itself. C, property taxes continue to go up. D, you're not really writing off anything that's associated with the home except for whatever the interest is that you paid on a property tax. Like, you're losing 10 times over. You're wondering why you're not able to give generational wealth. You own the home, but you don't own anything because the minute that you sell it, or if you try to pass it down to somebody, they're going to take it because they can't even afford to pay the taxes on it. And y'all think that y'all so smart. You think that you over here really running it up. You think that you're doing the thing that's in your best interest by voting for somebody that's going to take anything away from you that you ever get in order to give it to people that ain't ever worked for it. You think that this makes sense for you. And so you look at this market and you, oh my God, I need to buy a home. At this point, if this ever goes through, it's more important for you to look at other avenues to build wealth than ever to get into real estate in the first place. And I'm just telling you the truth. It's more incentive for you to get into other avenues in order to protect your wealth than to ever get into real estate in the first place, because it is going to tax you. It literally is going to kill the housing market altogether. Everybody gonna suffer. Everybody going to suffer.
Now, I know a lot of you guys don't like what's going on politically right now. There's a lot of rhetoric. There's noise. Freaking people angry, division. Don't worry about all that. Don't vote your politics. Vote your finances. If you're a real estate agent or a broker, share this with your friends because it'll decimate your ability to sell a house and make a brokerage fee. If you're an investor in real estate, you're buying real estate, you want to buy as much as you can right now, because what's going to happen is private owners like myself, okay, and that have long-term capital, we have investors that will invest for long periods of time, these assets won't be traded again. So you'll have this massive
because you have no incentive to sell it because you know you're going to be taxed to death. So the only thing you're going to do is keep it forever, and then we become a nation of renters. That's basically what he's telling y'all from a C student's perspective.
Now, this is going to be good for the Black Rocks and the institutions and guys that think like me, because we'll just own assets. Okay, put long-term debt on them, pay the debt down over long periods of time, and go back to the bank over and over and over again and pull proceeds out that are never taxed.
They never
because
taxed.
That's excluded in her.
Now, Anton, how does that work? How do they never get taxed? This is the reason why we say that the rich borrow against their assets regardless of how much money that they make and what their net worth is. Because I don't have to pay taxes on money that's borrowed. That's why we care more about our net worth than actual having cash. That's why you go to work every day and pay your taxes to the federal government. And then I legally make sure that I don't, because if I ever pull any money out of it, I'm absolutely using that against whatever it is that I own and the net worth that I have in order to continue to acquire more assets and to live the life that I really want to live. That's the difference. When Mark Zuckerberg borrows money, he's not borrowing money because he needs the money. He's a billionaire. When he borrows money to go and buy something that he wants, he's not borrowing money because he needs it or because he's getting he's borrowing it because it's cheaper for him to actually pay the interest on the loan than it is for him to pay the taxes, the capital gains taxes, or the taxes that come along with pulling his money out of the equity of whatever it is his compensation is. That's why rich people, and that's why CEOs negotiate a very, very low, some of them even have a very, very low base salary, and then they have all of their assets coming in equity because A, they believe in the company, B, they can leverage that equity in order to pull money out so that they can pay less in taxes. They'd rather pay the interest than paying the taxes. It's the only reason they borrow money. It's the only reason that they borrow money. They don't need the money. When you see them take out loans, it's not because they need the money. They borrowing it because they don't, A, have to pay the taxes on the money that they borrow against, and B, the interest rate is much lower than if they had to pull the money out in an equity and then pay it in cash. And that's the difference. That's the separation between the Dave Ramseys and the other people. Dave Ramsey don't believe in debt because he fundamentally just don't want to ever be tied to obligations as far as what banks are requiring from him. Rich people, which I'm not saying that Dave Ramsey is not rich, because he absolutely has phenomenal advice for younger people and for people that's just trying to get to the starting line. But when you start to acquire a certain level of net worth, You're not willing to give it all to the federal government when you work your butt off. You're not willing to give it all to the federal government when you work your butt off. But I digress. I don't want to keep going into this.
Bill. Okay, hope this helps. Share it with your friends.
All right, shout out to Grant Cardone. I think that was a phenomenal way to leapfrog into a greater conversation. Hopefully you guys follow along. Hopefully y'all are part of the bag chasers because the goal is to keep as much money. The goal is to keep as much money as possible. It's not just about making it, it's how you keep it. Once you start getting to the bag, we got to show you how to keep the bag, all right? That's where the real goal is. Let me see. I'm going to read some of these super chats and then we're going to continue over with the show. I'm not going to keep giving them that PhD level game. I'm not going to keep on giving that Mystic Philly. They don't appreciate it. They don't appreciate it. They think that they already know, so I'm going to let them rock out how they want to rock out. Miss Crow T. Shetty is in the building, says, for the collection plate of the best morning show on earth, because can't nobody do what we do. Ain't nobody doing it the way that we doing it, Miss Crow T. Shetty. JC says, Christian and Kamala each got a Jewish husband. Eric Harris says, no wonder Canadians is moving South Florida. Yeah, because they getting killed on taxes. Tax Smith says, is healthcare really free if you're paying 64%? Nope. And you paying for everybody else too. Eric Harris says, I guess this is what they meant by eat the rich. They gonna eat the middle class. They gonna destroy y'all. Because we gonna figure it out. Tyler Banks says, check out Richard Cooper's channel. He talks about the California taxes. I'm in new construction, real estate, and the Dems policies on real estate will be the first domino. I like Richard Cooper. I think he dope. Shout out to Richard Cooper. He's dope. JC says Canada's free healthcare is the cause. Definitely. It's not just that. Fantasy Island Girl says the investment groups bought all of the affordable single-family homes, and now they want us to be afraid we can't buy homes. We already couldn't beat the investors when we try to buy these homes. It's gonna get worse. It's gonna get 10 times worse. I promise you. Blocktane Brown is in the building. Says peace. AD. Another problem with the cap gains is unrealized. Yep. I ain't gonna get into that yet. I'm gonna deep dive into that in the real estate aspect of the market when we talk about it in the bag chasers. Is the market makers, big investors, and block traders control the markets will shift their wealth out of the country. That's what I would do. That's what I am going to do. Feet Funkerson is in the building that said, and then if you move overseas and make money, they want to tax that too unless you get rid of U.S. citizenship. I think there's going to be a lot of people that denounce their U.S. citizenship. I'm not opposed to it, to be honest with you. I'm getting to the point to where I think that my net worth is growing to the point to where I'm not really opposed to it anymore. So I'm starting to do research and looking at other countries and looking at certain things because I need to protect my daughter's nest egg. The idea is to tax asset gains, less incentivize businesses to create, and people to invest and drive the economy and innovation. You get less of what you tax, so expect the economy to suffer. Shout out to Tax Smith. I appreciate you. Clay on the beat is in the building. Says, Anton, appreciate the work you're doing. Just join the bag chasers. Now I'm waiting for a seat at the table. Shout out to all of the new chasers. King Stennis is in the building. Appreciate you, King Stennis. Thank you for holding me down, big dog. All right, one more thing that I want to get into. I told y'all this was going to be a hell of a show and that we was going to get into it and that we was going to deep dive and that I was going to keep y'all informed with information and distracted from what's going on at your regular job so that you can invest in yourself. Let's talk about real estate, specifically Florida. One of the people that I like to follow, and I seen him pop up on my algorithm, his name is John Williams, phenomenal YouTuber, is out on the streets breaking down what's going on within the real estate market, specifically in Miami and in Florida. All right, shout out to John Williams. Make sure y'all go and subscribe to his channel. This is John Williams. He has 295,000 subscribers as of the recording of this video. But I think that he perfectly summed up what I've been telling y'all for a long time when it comes to the real estate market, specifically in Florida. Check it out.
Hey, what's up guys, John here. You see this construction project? This project just got foreclosed on. This is gonna be home to another high rise in Miami. You can even see the weeds growing out through the rock. This is now a common trend throughout the entire city. Builders, investors, speculators, and developers are giving the keys back to the lender. They've had enough, they can't hold on.
Home foreclosures in the U.S. are on the rise.
The nation is seeing a spike in foreclosures. The rise of home foreclosures is placing a dark cloud over these top 5 states.
I want to show y'all this. I want to stop right here for a second. Home foreclosures have been a thing, and it is going to continue to be a thing during this administration. And if this administration win again, then it's going to be an even bigger thing. Look at the top states for home foreclosures. Let's continue.
This is just a 1 block radius. See this construction project behind me? You see this crane? You see this other project right there? This looks abandoned, for sale.
Link to the
Across
Patreon
street
is in the
for
description as
sale,
well as pinned to the top.
but it's
of
also
the
under
chat.
construction.
Just
Why
wanted
would
to
they
back check
sell the property if they weren't in financial hardship before construction is complete? Another one down the road, for sale. Another project for lease, for lease. This is everywhere throughout the entire city. If you drive 95 and you pass Miami on the left, what you will see is the entire skyline littered with cranes. In 2023, 17,000 apartments finished construction inside of Miami. In 2024, there's 22,700 apartments that are still in the construction process, meaning 39,700 apartments just over the last 17, 18 months. That is significant. When you look at 2007, before the peak of the bubble, before the big crash, there were only 20,000 apartments under construction. You're talking 2 times that figure right now, just over the last 17, 18 months. Not taking into consideration the amount of inventory that was built on the back of very low interest rates in 2021 and 2022 that will soon have to be refinanced. What's very unique and interesting this time around is that in 2021 and 2020 and 2022, that period, you had 1,000 people a day moving to Miami, moving to Florida, wanted a piece of Florida. Everybody wanted to be here.
Florida is booming, attracting more new residents from across the country than any other state in America.
New reports show that almost 1,000 people are moving to Florida every day.
Now the population of Miami is declining. And so with it goes the demand for brand new construction apartments. Now investors and developers are dropping rents on average of $300 per month to attract a tenant. If you have an apartment building like this and you're building 200 apartments and you have to drop your rent $300 across every single door in that entire build, is that a problem? The answer, yes, especially as taxes and insurance are going through the roof. Now, what's going to be very interesting and unique this time around is going to be how this entire shoe drops, how this domino continues to fall. Because what I believe is going to happen is I believe new investors and speculators are going to come in and buy up the distress, the Blackstones of the world, the really big prominent investment firms. And they're going to buy these deals at a much lower cost basis. Think about it. If they can go buy this deal at 50 cents or 60 cents on the dollar, they will, and the lender is going to have no choice but to sell it to the highest bidder. And so when they buy these deals, as these people go broke, they're going to be able to reduce rents, and they're going to be able to push more pressure and more pain to these builders. These other builders, think about it, if Blackstone owned this deal and they're renting the units for $2,000 or $2,200 and the builder over here needs to rent it for $3,000 a door to fill, what would happen? Blackstone would likely keep this at $2,000 a month to maybe $2,200 for a year or two to bleed out this guy. And then this person would bleed out and they'd be able to acquire that property. Then they can increase rents on both of them. And so what is going to happen going forward is going to be the consolidation of land, real estate, and assets throughout the entire city of Miami. In this video, I'm going to give you a full tour of exactly what's going on to help you and position you for what I believe is going to be the greatest wealth transfer in American history. Please hit the like button. YouTube will share this content, educate more people about what's really going on in America's economy and housing market. A condominium owner inside of this complex called Williams Island, just north of Miami Beach, was just hit with a $224,000 assessment. On top of that, his HOA went from $1,500 a month to $3,000 a month.
Could y'all imagine living in a place where your HOA is $1,500 a month, let alone $3,000 a month, that you're hit with a $224,000 assessment because you're a condo owner in a particular area with an HOA? That is what's happening across Florida, all across the board. When that building collapsed, it became the end of what we was talking about as far as all of these retirees and people being snowbirds down in Florida and owning a property in Florida, because then they started putting more regulation and they start really putting pressure on a lot of these buildings in order to bring them up to date that has been in Miami and Miami Beach for a long time. And now all of these people are getting these crazy assessments, and their maintenance, their HOA maintenance is going up to $3,000 a month. That's in addition to anything else that you have going on, property taxes, mortgages, all of that stuff is absolutely insane. And a lot of these people are on fixed incomes and they can't survive. And what you've seen is a lot of overbuilding down in Florida. And now they cannot move these places. Interest rates are too high. And then On top of that, let me tell you what was the real shoe to drop. And I've been telling y'all this. What have I been saying for the last 2.5 years? I said, listen, I would never buy a home in Florida. I will never invest in Florida. It is absolutely going to be the first place to go when you see a new housing crisis. It is 100% going to be the first place to go. Florida, California, the first thing that I started paying attention to was the insurers. When the insurers started running away from Florida, I said, well, I would never put $1 into Florida because it's going to great place to visit, 100% awesome to rent out at. But would I ever put my money into Florida? Absolutely not. The place that's going to be is in the Midwest. The middle of the country and in the Midwest is where all of the money should be concentrated. But I'm not going to get into that on this. I'm going to talk about that in our new real estate club class that we're going to have inside of the Patreon because we got stock club. Now we got to go into real estate, and I'm going to show you a lot of the off-market deals that I'm making and why I'm starting to build so feverishly in Michigan in particular, because the insurers are literally running away from California and they're running away from Florida, especially with the warming of the climate. Regardless of whether or not you believe in climate change, okay, the climate is changing. It's getting warmer. It is what it is. The insurers are not going to continue to stay in Florida, and they're not going to continue to stay in California. Florida tried to mitigate this once they had that bad hurricane back in the 90s, and then again in the 2000s by creating a state-owned insurance company that ultimately would insure what the private insurers wouldn't insure anymore. And so I believe it's called Citizens. For those of y'all in Florida, correct me if I'm wrong, it's called Citizens. And so a lot of people start going with Citizens Insurance because it was the only way for Florida themselves to continue to create stability and ultimately incentivize people to continue to move into and invest in their country and invest in their state. And so they create Citizens Insurance because it was the only affordable way for people to continue to own their homes and have confidence to continue to build and also move into Florida. But the insurers is running away, boy. They're running away. Absolutely. And it's only going to take 1 or 2 more very bad hurricanes to just completely ruin that entire space. All right.
A 79-year-old condo owner in Aventura is already on the hook for a $224,000 assessment fee, which he can't afford.
Where are we going to go? How are we going to get out of here?
NBC, MSN, every mainstream media outlet, Yahoo News, covering this story. He is going broke. And it's not him alone. He's with a lot of other people inside of Florida, a lot of retirees, a lot of people on fixed incomes that own condominiums that can't keep up with the assessments, they can't keep up with the rising HOA and the rising cost of living. You see this property behind me, the Gateway at Wynwood. This is tailor-made for...
And I seen that building going up because I always be in Wynwood when I'm down there in Florida. I seen that building going up.
Founders, tech companies, entrepreneurs, business owners to come here and work during this pandemic boom in 2021. Now what's happening is they're in foreclosure. The lender is foreclosing on a $102 million loan. And why is this? Well, companies are looking to cut costs and they are slashing office space. And now many of these employees are working from home. This work from home trend is now permanent, and this office market is getting destroyed alongside multifamily at the same exact time. You see this mega estate behind me? It's 7,500 square feet in a pristine pocket of Miami, an area where everyone wants to be. Very close, walking distance to all the shops. They initially listed this property for $14,995,000 at the height of the market. They've done a series of price reductions and brought the price all the way down to $6.5 million. That's
So you went from $15 million to $6.5 million and price cuts. I'm telling you, it's I've been predicting it. I said that it was about to happen. I told y'all, I warned y'all, I gave y'all the updates on what was happening out in these streets, and a lot of these people, they were sitting there, oh no, we like the sunny. Okay, you got it. I doubled down on where I'm at. I love Florida. I love to go and visit nice bodies, beach bodies. When I flew down there the other day, what was that, Thursday going into Friday? I said, oh my God, it's still crazy. The women down there look crazy. Crazy. It's a different market. Okay.
right. $8.5 million worth of price reductions, and they still can't unload this property. Why? It's because everything is for sale. Even the land next door is for sale in Miami. And home sellers are now panicking. How much do you think this house is listed for sale right now with the bars on the window on a busy, busy street? The answer, $1 million.
Heck no. Heck no. Yo, that looked like the house that I grew up in the hood in Detroit. It looked like the house that I grew up in the hood in Detroit, and they selling that for $1.2 million. Because it's in Miami. In yo. Y'all better get hip. Just wanted to give y'all a little bit of an update. But yeah, we're going to talk about this inside of the Patreon. I'm trying to figure out different dates because I think I'm going to do it either twice a month or once a month, depending on the off week that we got Stock Club and stuff like that. So we'll get into it. Anyways, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Let me read a couple more of these super chats, and then we're going to wrap up because it is almost a 3-hour show. Lady Shan, shout out to Lady Shan, says that tax and mortgage robbery is the same here. Yeah, we got to figure out some places to go to, y'all. Larry in the building. Shout out to Larry. Also, my girl Lady Shan says, as a Brit, I'm going to chill in Cyprus or Greece or even Turkey. We get great food, cheap, and $35 return flight back and forth to the UK. Really? Wow, that's pretty impressive. Shout out to my girl Lady Shan and my Brits over there out there in these streets. Listen, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for continuing to tune into the Millionaire Morning Show. We got the Q show tonight. Yep, we got the Q show tonight, so that should be popping. Should be very, very fun. I don't know who's coming on. That's Q's job, not mine. And it's bad. It's bad out here in these streets, and I think that it's going to get worse before it get better. Y'all better vote. Y'all better vote the way that y'all supposed to and get informed. Wake up. Wake up. Eric Daniels said he got his sparring gloves on inside of the chat. Wake up. Wake up. Listen, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all are the greatest audience on earth. Same time tomorrow. But we also doing 10 p.m. Eastern Standard, the Q show tonight. All right? Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Again, shout out to Tiege Hanley. 40% off your first order plus 20% off of life. We appreciate you, Tiege. And we rocking. We back at it. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace.